All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. Welcome if you are new here. Appreciate you guys joining me today and appreciate you, as always, waiting patiently for the intro to finish up. I meant to have this out already, so Luna can play with it if she wants. There you go. You can see her mess around. But yeah, welcome to the stream, guys. Hope everybody is doing well today. So let me ask you, who got their Astro controller? Who got the Astrobot limited edition DualSense? I see some of you guys saying you got it. Yeah, the PlayStation Direct crashed. Yeah, it was very irritating, man. I don't know what Sony is doing with PlayStation Direct, but they're doing something very wrong. They're suffering the same issues on their website that they were suffering back when the PlayStation 5 first launched. But I see Mrs. MBG is in the chat saying Walmart currently has them right now. Yeah, big shout out to Mrs. MBG coming in clutch today. I was sitting there for about 30 minutes, probably longer than that, on PlayStation Direct, trying on Amazon, GameStop, and nothing was working. And I'd basically given up, and I'm like, whatever, man. I really wanted this controller, but I guess it's just not meant to be. Not sure what, why Sony has to make it this way every time. But Mrs. MBG kept trying, and she got one through Walmart. She was able to secure a pre-order through Walmart. So you might want to check to see if they still have it there. But yes, thank you, Mrs. MBG. Don't know what I would do without you. Luna, what are you doing over there? Hey. But yeah, man, I hope anybody who wanted to pre-order one was able to. I saw a lot of very frustrated people on like the official post that Sony put out and these other places where people were trying to put out these links. It seems like there was a massive glitch essentially where you could add the controller to your cart and you could go to checkout, but it like wouldn't let you put in your card info. And then eventually the entire website just crashed. I don't know what's going on with it now, but I'm thankful that I was able to get one because that's definitely one of the limited edition controllers that I would like to have. It makes me nervous about the PlayStation 5 Pro, really makes you wonder how bad it's going to be when that console drops, how difficult it's going to be to secure one. I mean, I saw people already scalping the Astrobot DualSense, which is just sad. It hasn't even been up for pre-order for a couple of hours. But yeah, guys, appreciate you joining me today. We're gonna let people kind of continue to file in here. Yeah, if you do want to pre-order it through GameStop, you do need a pro membership apparently, which is pretty crappy on GameStop's end. But I think because of that, they're likely to have stock for a little bit longer than other places. Oh no, Mrs. MBG is saying GameStop sold out. Okay. Well, that's unfortunate. Yeah, you do have to wonder if Sony's going to restock these controllers. I mean, if there's enough demand, I'm sure Sony will produce more. It seems like there's a lot of demand for this DualSense. But yeah, it's going to come out the same day as Astrobot, September 6th. And speaking of Astrobot, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. What we're going to be doing, maybe you can see it here on screen, is we're setting a member goal today of 50. Okay? So we're going to strive for 50 members over the course of today's stream. And if we hit that goal, if we can hit 50 members by the time we finish up the stream, we will do a bonus Astro stream where I will stream some Astros Playroom for you guys. Okay? I would like to do that, obviously, and that would be like a little reward for actually hitting that goal. If we hit 25 members, we'll do the normal goal of feeding the beast and whatnot. But yeah, just keep that in mind today. That's what we're going to be striving for. So let's see if we can make that happen. But I'm going to give you guys a quick overview of what we're going to be talking about today. The first topic is about the PlayStation 5 Pro once again, where we actually have a developer coming out and saying some pretty good things about Sony's mid-gen refresh console. There's a lot of negativity about this console, and so I thought it would be interesting to kind of go over what a developer has to say about it. And they're basically saying that it's going to feel 100% more powerful compared to the PS5, which is fascinating because I think that a lot of people are under the impression that the PS5 Pro, you're not really going to experience much of a difference at all. So, again, it'll be interesting to kind of hear what this developer has to say about that. We're also going to be talking about Sony outlining their plan for their PlayStation studios moving forward. We're going to be talking about the PlayStation Store and how there is a significant update, seemingly, that people are noticing where Sony is now allowing written user reviews on the PlayStation Store, which is something that has been highly requested for a very long time. And we also are going to be talking about more rumors swirling around a potential Until Dawn 2, a new horror game that's being made. Nothing major here, but just a little bit of an update. And then we're also going to be talking briefly about WB Games because they recently came out and revealed that they lost a ton of money on Suicide Squad, which is not necessarily surprising, but more importantly, they're making it clear that they are willing to license out their intellectual properties to other studios and potentially other publishers. So very interesting there. So this is what we're going to be discussing over the course of today's stream. So before we dive into any of these topics, guys, I do just want to ask you guys to hit that like button. Okay, if you enjoy the stream, if you find the streams, enjoyable and you like the content, hitting that like button is the easiest way to let me know and to help with the algorithm. I also just want to thank everybody for watching. I want to make sure to give a shout out to those who watch the streams later on. I know not everybody can catch them live, so if you are one of those people, thank you for your viewership. A couple of ways you can support the channel, the content, and the community directly. Number one, become a channel member. You gain access to exclusive perks, such as the Members Lounge. We did a Members Lounge yesterday. It was a pretty fun one, and we will continue to do that. We also do exclusive member gameplay streams as well. The second way you can help support is by gifting memberships. And third, you can donate a super chat, ask a question, give an opinion, make a statement, anything in between. And there's also a fourth bonus way. There's a direct donation link that some people like to utilize. 100% of what you donate goes to the creator, and you get to leave a message just like a super chat, and I'll read it here. So thank you guys for allowing me to do this and for continuing to support the channel. But what we are going to do now, I'm going to call this section the topic rundown. So essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all of the topics back to back in succession. And then after that, we will dive deeper into discussions about each topic. Okay, so we are starting here with the PlayStation 5 Pro. This is being reported by WCCF Tech. It says, despite the CPU and RAM not seeing much of an improvement over the base model, the PlayStation 5 Pro will feel like a 100% more powerful console compared to the base PS5, thanks to upscaling. During the latest episode of the Moore's Law is Dead Broken Silicon podcast, Alderon Games founder Matthew Castles discussed the yet-to-be-revealed mid-generation refresh system and how its power and the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution upscaler will improve games. Talking specifically about the studio's games, the console could allow them to activate ray tracing if the game already manages to run at 60 frames per second on the base model without ray tracing. Regarding resolution, the console's additional power will allow games to be a little less blurry than on the base model, but it won't solve the issue entirely. And upscaling will continue to play a big role in the grand scheme of things, as game engines like Unreal Engine 5 are not getting any faster and will continue to need upscaling. PSSR, however, will make the PlayStation 5 Pro actually feel like 100% more powerful than the base models to developers, split between 50% of actual improvements and the other 50% brought by upscaling. Discussing the PlayStation 5 Pro leaked specs further, the Alderon Games founder feels that the aforementioned limited CPU and RAM improvements aren't going to be a massive problem, as the vast majority of console games are not CPU bottlenecked, and the scaling up RAM is usually among the hardest things to do, as most developers optimize according to the available RAM, and only some of the biggest games with the biggest development teams would be able to take advantage of the additional amount. The GPU improvements, on the other hand, may allow some games to run with the equivalent of, it says here, epic settings. I think they mean ultra settings, instead of the medium settings usually used on the base model consoles. The additional power may make it easier for developers to implement 120 hertz modes with further tweaking of the graphics settings. So again, this is what a developer had to say about the PlayStation 5 Pro and the specs that we know about so far. Of course, we're still waiting for Sony to officially announce the PS5 and reveal it, announce the price, hopefully have Mark Cerny kind of break down his decision making and why he chose to do what he's going to do with the PS5 Pro. But I think that this is pretty good news if you're somebody who's looking forward to the PS5 Pro. We have a developer out here basically saying that it's not just going to be the raw horsepower that the console is going to offer, that the PSSR upscaling is actually, it might end up being a thing that makes the console feel, as he puts it, 100% more powerful than the base model, which is pretty good. And he's also mentioning that we should start to see games implement more ray tracing. That's going to be interesting to see, because the PS5 Pro is rumored to actually have RDNA 4 ray tracing capability, which won't even be available to the wider market until sometime in 2025. And also, potentially, we could be looking at some games running at ultra settings. But moving on to the next topic, this is coming from PlayStation Lifestyle. Sony Group has said that PlayStation Studios are aiming to consistently and continuously release hit games. To achieve this, Sony Interactive Entertainment is making an effort to refine its development processes and release schedules. Having previously acknowledged that PlayStation Studios are struggling with maintaining sustainable profit margins despite releasing best-selling games, Sony announced that it was restructuring the PlayStation division. As part of this process, more than 900 roles were eliminated, and a new management structure was implemented under joint CEOs Herman Hulst and Hideaki Nishino. Announcing its first quarter financial results for fiscal year 2024 yesterday, Sony told investors in an earnings call that, quote, the studio business group is strengthening its development schedule, management, and optimizing development projects in order to consistently and continuously release hit titles, end quote. Meanwhile, Sony's platform business group will focus on maintaining and expanding the number of active PlayStation users while strengthening user engagement. The goal is to establish a stable earnings base as a matter of priority. PlayStation did not release any major first-party blockbusters this year, but did publish quite a few console exclusives. 3 smaller first-party games are scheduled for fall 2024, Concord, Astrobot, and LEGO Horizon Adventures. So not a major piece of news here, but just a little bit of insight into how Sony plans to operate going forward, specifically with their own studios. It seems that they are not wavering from this idea of we want to make big hit games. That's probably the most important takeaway here. We are getting something like Astrobot, which is not a massive AAA title. It's still a AAA title. It's a big game, but it's not anywhere near the same level as something like Spider-Man 2, Horizon Forbidden West, God of War Ragnarok, Ghost of Tsushima. These games are the biggest games, right? And there was kind of this notion, people were assuming that maybe Sony's going to kind of scale back on that. They're going to relax on that a little bit and maybe start to reduce the size of these games. But we have Sony out here confirming to investors that that's not what they plan to do. I mean, of course, they're saying we plan to continuously release hit titles. So, could they mean smaller hit titles? Yeah, but it's very unlikely, because when they say that, Sony is well aware that the investors, as well as anybody else listening in, is assuming, oh, you're talking about your biggest games, right? The ones that sell the most, the ones that, gain the most notoriety, the most popular ones. So there you go. When it comes to how Sony is going to operate going forward, it's basically going to continue to be what we've seen, where you're going to get a lot of big games and maybe a few smaller ones kind of sprinkled throughout in between. But moving right along here, we're talking about a PlayStation Store update that a lot of people have been asking for. Coming from Push Square, it says, reviewing a video game is a sacred act that previously only a select few individuals were called to. But it seems like all of that could be about to change. Reports of civilian PlayStation users being sent an email link to pen a review of a game purchased digitally have begun to trickle in. This could mean a bold future in which the unfortunately oh god, I can't say this word. Let me try this again because I'm like stroking out here. Which the unfortunately, it looks like unfortunately PlayStation Store looks more like Valve's. Okay, I don't know what this article's saying. I'm sorry. I'm like having a moment here. On Reddit, a user detailed the occurrence in a thread in which they described being sent an email link to write a review on PlayStation.com, specifically for Helldivers 2. For now, it only appears to work directly from the link on the website and for games owned digitally in some kind of limited test. Last year, a 5-star rating system was rolled out, perhaps a tentative first step. So, yeah, I don't know what's up with the article and why it was written this way, but essentially, what we are looking at here is Sony beginning to roll out the beta phase of user written reviews on the PlayStation Store. And I think this is going to be a big deal because we know that we have the star ratings, right? The 5-star rating. And people, I think, do find that helpful. People were happy to see that when that was rolled out. But what people, I think, are really going to find even more helpful is being able to read full-blown reviews that people can leave. And it'll be interesting to see if they have some kind of upvote system or like a system maybe like what you see on Amazon where you can basically say like, I found this review helpful, and you'll see like 150 users found this review helpful. If they can start to add stuff like that, right, I think it's going to just really help people who are shopping in the PlayStation Store, considering how overloaded the PlayStation Store has become with just junk games, just garbage everywhere. I think something like this is absolutely going to be necessary. But moving on from that, we are talking about Firesprite. Once again, we have a report from PlayStation Lifestyle. Until Dawn 2 rumors have begun swirling again after fans spotted a developer resume that they believe alludes to the sequel. The resume belongs to a writer at PlayStation Studio Firesprite, which we've known for a long time is working on a PS5 horror game. Spotted by MP First, the resume of Firesprite game writer Ren Alex Ross mentions unannounced branching horror adventure game within a pre-established IP. The website also discovered a portfolio page of Firesprite game designer Emily Stell, which reveals that she's working on a narrative horror game for both PS5 and PC. Now, the last bit is certainly interesting because Until Dawn is about to get a remake for the PS5 and PC as well, and there's a movie based on the game currently filming. A sequel landing on both platforms makes sense. We also know that Supermassive Games and Sony have parted ways, so a potential sequel is not going to be developed by the original team. What's more is that journalist Jason Schreier previously teased that Firesprite's new game will not be a new IP, and with MP First Discovery backing that up, fans are convinced that rumors of Until Dawn 2 being in development are true. Now, I want to put this out here. What seems to, in my opinion, I don't want to say confirm, but really start to lock in this being Until Dawn 2, other than the fact that Until Dawn Remake is coming out, other than the fact that there's an Until Dawn movie currently being made, it's the fact that the resume specifically says unannounced branching horror adventure game in a pre-established IP. I mean, how many games does Sony own? How many IPs does Sony own that could fit that description? Unannounced branching horror adventure game. To me, it's the term branching that really gives it away. That's exactly what Until Dawn is all about. I haven't played it yet myself, but I do know that that's essentially the, main hook of the game, is that there's all these different branching paths you can end up going down. And so it's hard to say when we're going to hear about this game, when it's going to be announced. And there is always the chance that it could be a different game, that's not Until Dawn. But I mean, at that point, we only have a very limited pool of established horror IP that Sony owns. Some people are thinking Siren. I don't think so. I don't think there's any chance that this game is Siren. I think all signs absolutely point to this being a proper Until Dawn 2. Why else would Sony be greenlighting a movie? Why else would they be putting out the remake? Now, the final topic here is about WB Games, once again from PlayStation Lifestyle. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's massive flop has put a big dent in WB Games' finances, contributing to a 41% drop in gaming revenue year on year in Q2 2024. Parent company Warner Bros. Discovery is now looking to license its popular IPs to other studios for games and lean heavily into the free-to-play space, which is currently a major revenue earner for video game companies. WB's president of global streaming and games, JB Perrett, said during an earnings call yesterday that the company's gaming division had a record year in 2023 due to Hogwarts Legacy, but Suicide Squad's flop took the business to the opposite side of the spectrum. Perrett added that WB wants to take advantage of the free-to-play space, which accounts for about half of the $200 billion games business. WB CEO and President David Zaslav, then pointed out that the company has a lot of IPs that other studios are interested in, including but not limited to Batman, Superman, and Harry Potter. There's also a lot of interest among others in coming to take advantage of some of that IP for gaming, which we're looking at. We need to get bigger, and the IP we own and the value that it has in the gaming space is something we're looking to take advantage of. So, yeah, I mean, for me, the big thing here is the fact that WB is confirming they're willing to look into licensing their IP to other studios. They mentioned Batman, they mentioned Superman, they mentioned Harry Potter. This is potentially a big deal because these are huge properties. These are very big IP, but it really comes down to who would be interested, right? Is it possible Sony could be interested? Is it possible Sony could look to take one of their studios and reach out to WB? I don't know. I don't know if it would go that far, but this is definitely something that we might want to pay attention to, because if there's something that WB clearly learned the hard way is, when you take, and again, we think about The Last of Us multiplayer, right? I'm not saying The Last of Us multiplayer would have been a flop like Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, but time and time again, we've seen when you take your beloved single-player, narrative-driven AAA studios and they're tasked, or they even decide to make a live service game, it just doesn't work out. I really can't think of any studio where it's really worked out well for them. But what we see with Rocksteady and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has to be the worst of the worst, where that studio is done. The founders, the people who made that studio what it is, are gone. They've formed another studio. I think they even partnered with Microsoft now. And, now we're seeing WB basically be like, yeah, even though Hogwarts Legacy was like the best-selling game of 2023, even outselling Call of Duty, sorry, Suicide Squad was such a money sink and such a flop, it basically undid that. That is wild. But that's the situation. But guys, that is the topic rundown. Wanted to make sure up front I'm getting all the topics out there, all the information out there. Man, that felt like a lot right there. But let's go back. PS5 Pro. Okay, the PS5 Pro, we have a developer talking about it. We have a developer basically saying that the PS5 Pro is going to ultimately feel 100% more powerful, and it's not just going to be because of the hardware. Honestly, it sounds like this developer is putting a lot of stock in the upscaling. He seems to believe that the upscaling technology is really going to do some heavy lifting, and this is what's going to be super fascinating to witness if, say, next month Sony does reveal the PS5 Pro. What studios are going to be on stage? What developers are going to be coming out and being like, yeah, we're taking full advantage of PlayStation super spectral resolution, and how big of a difference is it really going to make? I mean, we've gotten a lot of 60 FPS performance modes on the PlayStation 5 thus far, and really quick, I see Andreas screaming in the chat, the graphics will not be 100% better. I mean, probably not for every game. I mean, it's a weird way to word it, right? Like 100% better. What does that mean exactly when graphics already look pretty damn good? You're probably right that they're not, like, it might be a bit of an exaggeration. Like, it's going to be 100% better. I think really the best way to put it is you're going to see a significant boost, like one that is actually like very good, that you're going to look at and be like, wow, this is actually kind of great. He's been spamming that for a while. Oh, okay. I wasn't aware. I wasn't aware. Yeah, I mean, I think there is going to be a relatively significant graphics boost, and for me, it's good to hear positive word from a developer, right? I'm positive that there are developers who really don't care about the PS5 Pro and are not excited about it, and are just worried about optimizing their game mainly for the PS5. Absolutely, but I also believe that there are developers who are excited about the PS5 Pro and really seeing like, okay, how much better can we make our game look? Because something that is worth noting is that, this is another opportunity to sell their game, right? The better you can make your game look, the better you can show it. Well, I don't want to say show it off because you can always show it on PC if you want, but just being able to kind of hit those buzzwords, right? That, it's going to matter to some people. Where it's like, yeah, we are taking advantage of the PlayStation upscaling technology, and because of that, you're going to get like 4 times the pixels or something. Or we are taking advantage of the extra power in the Pro. We're going to be able to boost ray tracing by 4 times. I mean, you're going to always see people who are like, oh, I don't care about any of that, and that's fine. If you don't care about that, then the PS5 Pro is definitely not for you. But for those who are going to buy the PS5 Pro, I can tell you, and I can tell you somebody who is going to buy the PS5 Pro, these are things that I'm definitely going to care about. Like I want to see developers take advantage of this stuff, and I want it to look good, right? Because if not, then the PS5 Pro is going to feel like a pointless purchase. But yeah, I mean, other than that, he talks about ultra settings. They said here epic settings. I don't know why they called it that, but clearly they mean like the highest range of settings. This one's going to be another interesting thing to see because the PS5, it's safe to say that when we would watch these Digital Foundry comparisons, the PS5 would hold its own better than I think some people expected in some instances. But you would always kind of see this compromise where, okay, yeah, you have a higher resolution or a pretty high resolution, right? And you have a 60 FPS performance mode, but a lot of these settings are running at medium to high. And it's not that it looks bad, but it's like if you're comparing that to a high-end PC where you're running the game, all the settings on ultra, the PC is going to look significantly better in some instances or in a lot of instances. Seeing a console come out from PlayStation that can maybe bridge that gap at least a little bit. A $600 PS5 Pro is not going to, I don't think it's going to outperform like a $2,000 gaming PC or even a $1,500 gaming PC. I don't know that that's going to be possible, but it could maybe surprise us in that, oh, more games are now running at ultra settings, right? Maybe not all the settings, but a lot of different settings that are running at medium, right, on the base PS5. Now they're running at ultra. This is going to be something that could really help make a difference for some people. But it's going to have to be a combination of all the things I just listed. We're going to have to see a combination of developers taking advantage of the upscaling tech. We're going to have to see them take advantage of the ray tracing, and we're going to have to see them take advantage of the extra horsepower to just run some of these settings at ultra. All of that's going to have to happen, in my opinion, in order to really convince people that the PS5 Pro is a console that's justified, right? You don't think Sony can hype an SSD again? PS gamers won't fall for it twice. Well, I mean, yeah, it's interesting to me that at this point in time, the sentiment around this generation, generally speaking, is that the PlayStation 5 has been like a relative disappointment relative to other console generations. I mean, I get that, right? Like, there's something lacking this generation, and I don't think the PS5 Pro itself is going to change that. I don't think, to be honest, I think the only thing that will change that is we need to see the next generation. Like, I mean, if I were to ask you guys right now, like, how many PS5 games have you played that felt genuinely like, wow, this feels like a like a new generation? Like this feels like something that definitely just couldn't happen on PS4 at all. How many games come to mind? Do you think of like 3 games? Do you think of 6 games? Do you think of 10 plus games? I think for a lot of people, they struggle to think of any games. Nick says the PS5 Pro is not something you have to upgrade to. It's there for those who want it. That's all. Yeah, I agree with that. I do want to see it sell decently well, though, because I want to see developers take advantage of it, you know? MBG, finally somebody said out loud that the majority of games are GPU bound and not CPU bound. Most games run fine at a consistent 60 FPS, but with really low resolutions. That is fixed with a better GPU. Yeah, I tried explaining this to people before as well, where they're like, you know, is it going to get games at 60 FPS? It's like, well, not all games, but most games, like 95% of games are already hitting 60 FPS performance modes. Just like you said, with lower resolutions because they're not CPU bound. It's rare we see a game locked at 30 FPS. But for those games, yeah, you're going to see the biggest difference. Frederick, you're saying you think of about 4 games. Matt, you're saying Demon Souls did impress you at launch. Me too, yeah. Demon Souls comes to mind, at least just in terms of visuals. See somebody mentioning Hellblade. And Dreadful83 with a super chat says, okay, the graphics could be perfect, but for me, I care more about the smoothness of the gameplay. That makes sense. No struggle. Yeah, well, that's what's going to be interesting, right? This is why everybody, when we talk about the PS5 Pro, one of the first games that people immediately think of is GTA 6. Is GTA 6 going to run at 60 FPS? The truth is, if GTA 6 can't run at 60 FPS on the base PS5, it's probably not going to run at 60 FPS on the Pro. And because that's the whole thing. When we talk about a game being GPU bound or CPU bound, right? Games that are CPU bound, the only way you're really going to be able to get that type of performance, like we're just going to jump from 30 to 60, it doesn't really matter how much you lower the resolution because it's basically tethered to the CPU, right? And if you don't upgrade the CPU, if you don't have a next gen CPU, you're not going to see it. Mrs. MBG comes in and decides she's going to gift 5 memberships. She's kicking off. Well, didn't see that one coming. Mrs. MBG said she wants to kick off the membership train today. I appreciate that, Mrs. MBG. Very unexpected. W's in the chat for Mrs. MBG. She says she wants to play Astro. Well, we'll see. We'll see if we get there. Oh, I can't see the counter, though. What the heck? That's weird. But yeah, Dreadful, I get what you're saying, man. It's one of these things where people want to see smooth gameplay. I think we're going to continue to see that with the Pro. I think there will be those outlier games every now and again, and we have Fred Vance coming in. Fred ADHD Vance, following up Mrs. MBG, dropping a 5 bomb of his own. And just like that, we get to 10 members on the day. Love to see it. Thank you guys so much for that. Mrs. MBG kicked it off. Again, did not see that coming. And then Hellbound 1981 drops another 5 bomb. So just like that, we are at 15 members, guys. Full-blown member train going. Really, really appreciate it. Yeah, keep in mind, guys, you can always drop single membership gifts as well. They help tremendously. Those of you dropping the 5 bombs, though, or more, thank you so much for that. Appreciate you doing the heavy lifting for the community here and giving back. So let me add that to the counter. I don't know why that's weird. It doesn't show the number. I might have to alter that. I was trying to like put it up here that if we hit 50, we'll do an Astro stream so everybody's aware at all times. But it also apparently doesn't show the amount. And Gavin House comes in. Gavin House says, you know what? I'm going to drop a single member gift as well. He wants to keep the member train going.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm going to lower that. Gavin, thank you so much for that, man. Roadkill says, thank you for the gifted. Yeah, good stuff, guys. So we're now at 16 members. Let me see if I can fix this a little bit here. Oh, no, I see Gavin drops a second single membership. Gavin's keeping it going here, man. He's getting a little single member train going. Gavin brings it to 17. So we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. We're actually nearly halfway there. Love to see it. And then Angry Whale Watcher keeps it going. He drops a single. So just like that, we're at 18 now, guys. Any relation to Andrew House? Thank you, Angry Whale Watcher. Thank you guys for keeping that train going. I'm going to update the goal here so you can see where we're at. I'm just gonna title it Astro Stream so you can see how many we have. Let me see what this looks like. Okay. You know what? I should rename that. I'll call it Astro Stream Goal. Hopefully that'll still be able to show it. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me for a second here. But yeah, thank you for all of the continued support, guys. Very much appreciated. Let's keep that member train going. While I read these super chats, we have Perfect Image saying it's all about the engines that supply the games. Yeah, and that's why you can probably infer, right, with the PS5 Pro, why, based off of the specs that we're seeing, Mark Cerny decided to go down the path that he went down with it, right? The decisions he made. Because Mark Cerny is well aware that most games are not CPU bound. And he's also well aware that when we talk about the PlayStation 6, like the next gen leap, whenever we're going to get there, the CPU is going to be the biggest difference maker in what we see when it comes to, is this going to be next gen or not, right? What is a next gen game on the PlayStation 6? The CPU is going to be responsible for that, not an SSD, not the speed of the it's going to be just the CPU at this point, at least from what I can tell. And yeah, thank you for pointing that out, Dragon. We're almost at 100 likes. So guys, if you want to help the stream out, if you just want to let me know you enjoy it, but if you want to help with the algorithm, hit that like button. It helps tremendously. And we have Capono 5150 coming in, keeping the train going. He drops a single. I love to see it, guys. Love to see the single member trains going here. They definitely help. So Capono brings us up to 19. 19 members. Good stuff, man. We're almost there. We're almost at the halfway point. Prince G, you're saying PlayStation Direct is still effed. Won't let me check out. That's crazy, dude. It's been hours. It's been almost 3 hours, and it's still not working. Yeah, guys, if we do hit 25 members, we'll feed the beast and the Micro Panther. I'm sure Boss is going nuts waiting for his treats. Fred, you're saying, MBG, there could be some factors baked into the SoC that we can only speculate as far with the PSSR and how it works with VRR and on TVs along with other Cerny magic. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a couple tricks up Mark Cerny's sleeve that, you know, seeing the on paper specifications. I mean, look, I know some people are going to say the SSD and whatnot, you know, Mark Cerny lied or whatever, he fooled us. But in reality, it's like Mark Cerny came out on stage, said, here's a, you know, less powerful PS5 compared to the Series X. And it ended up doing way more, like way better in a lot of areas, you know? And I mean, I'm not saying that makes this gen amazing, but it's like, it just goes to show that, I don't know, Mark Cerny has a way of, he has a way of approaching console development that I find interesting and unique. And I'm really curious to see, because, you know, the PS5 has been out for almost 4 years now. I'm sure he's been taking notes the whole time. And Josh Z, I'm sorry, man, I almost missed your super chat here. Thank you for the $10 chat. You're saying it looks like the Switch needs less than 20 million units to pass PS2 in this day and age. That's incredible. That it is that close. The library is the commonality here. I noticed both huge. Yeah, you know, I do wonder if when it's all said and done, if the Switch is going to catch the PS2. I mean, 20 million is still a lot, and I think the only way the Switch would be able to do that is if the Switch maintains its popularity all throughout the next generation. But I mean, look, man, what you're saying is true. The fact that it's even gotten that close is quite shocking. I remember I was completely wrong about the Switch when it was first revealed. I was like, I don't know about this, man. I don't know if this is gonna save Nintendo. And and man, I couldn't have been more wrong. So, and you're saying it's the library, the games library. Hmm. Yeah, we'll see where the Switch falls when it's all said and done, but it's definitely cemented itself as one of the greatest consoles of all time, no doubt about it. Um, and I'm curious to see where the PS5 lands, like how close the PS5 can get to the Switch. I'm curious to see if the PS5 can catch the PS4 because I think it's PS2, Nintendo Switch, and then PS4. So PS5 still got a long way to go, but I'm seeing more rumors come up about the Switch too, and you can tell the excitement and the anticipation is building. Phantom Thief, I want to let you know I did see that. I'm probably going to save that for Sunday to talk about. And we have Prince G here, remember, for 8 months. He says PlayStation's bespoke hardware has consistently had the edge over L-Box every generation. Yeah, I think going forward, it's not going to be a priority for Microsoft to try to outdo Sony in terms of how powerful the console will be or what it's capable of. I think what Microsoft's just going to do is try to make sure that they make a a good console that is competent and relatively easy to develop for. But yeah, I just it's hard to determine really how important these things are going to be, right? The things that were once very important, PS3 versus 360, PS4 versus Xbox One. I mean, with the PS4 and the Xbox One, it was the resolution wars, 720p versus 900p versus 1080p. We're like well beyond that now. Most people are talking about frame rates and performance, and you see a pro console coming out where it's like Microsoft doesn't have anything to match it. And I think that this is going to play out one of two ways. It's either going to be kind of a somewhat of a big deal where it's like, wow, holy shit, look at what Sony did with the PS5 Pro. This is more impressive than I expected. And it's crazy that like Microsoft, there's like nobody trying to compete with it now. Like there's nothing there to compete with the Pro. Or it's going to be, wow, this is actually underwhelming and it's as underwhelming as I expected and people do not latch onto it. And I don't know, man, the worst case scenario is people start to kind of turn on Sony and they kind of look at Microsoft and be like, Microsoft made the smarter move by not doing a mid-gen refresh. And the reason why Microsoft is apparently not doing a mid-gen refresh is because Microsoft is planning to kick off the next generation of console sooner, as soon as 2026. As far as we know, Sony is absolutely not planning a PS6 in 2026. So it could be interesting. Like we could, in just a matter of a couple years, I mean, a lot can go down in 2 years, certainly. But in like 2.5 or a year and a half from now, or 2 years from now, we could be actually seeing comparisons where it's like, here's how this game runs on the next gen Xbox. I don't know what it would be called. You guys can come up with a funny name. But here's a game running on the next gen Xbox compared to the PS5 Pro. I mean, we could actually be seeing that sooner than we think. And that'll be a very interesting turn of events. But I think we are at a point, and here's what I'll say to kind of like, put a bow on this specific topic. It seems clear to me, based off of what I'm seeing from people, like the general discussions and conversations, and people who are really who've been following this generation closely. It's clear that people have reached a boiling point where they're tired of not seeing more impressive games. You know, um, we could say maybe that's a little bit unfair or whatever, but there's this desire where people want to see stuff that looks genuinely impressive and makes them feel like, oh, this is that next gen experience. This is why I bought a PS5. This is why I bought a Series X, right? And it's interesting because when we talk about just the PS5, I'm seeing people say that right now about Black Myth Wukong. I saw this new trailer that they put out, and a lot of the comments are people being like, "Wow, like this feels like the type of game I've been waiting for." Something that really makes me feel like this game doesn't feel like it could possibly run on the last gen hardware. And it's not just the visuals, right? I mean, based off of what we're hearing about Black Myth, and yeah, I know it's on PC, but I mean, like, the point is, like, it can't run on PS4. It simply can't. That's the type of stuff that people want to see, because if a game cannot run on the PS4 or the Xbox One, it means it's taking true advantage of the horsepower in these current gen consoles. Where, granted, yes, there's always going to be more horsepower on PC, but every time cross gen is involved, it immediately tells you that it's not going as far as it could, right? It's limited. And I bring up Black Myth Wukong because, let me ask you guys this for a second. The current rumor is that Black Myth Wukong is going to run at 1440p, 60 frames per second on the PS5. It's an Unreal Engine 5 game. It's Unreal Engine 5. I mean, what can the Pro do for a game like that? A game that's that optimized in Unreal Engine 5. Are we talking native 4K 60 FPS? Are we talking 1440p 120 frames? See, this is where it's like the PS5 Pro could be coming at a pretty good time, where like developers are finally starting to push things forward a little bit here. Floasis H2 Flow, thank you for the $1 donation, man. And it says it's your 5th time donating. Appreciate that, buddy. Good stuff. But yeah, this to me is what people are ready for. It's not that they're ready for a Pro. I mean, some people are. Like, I do see positivity about the PS5 Pro, and again, it's nice to see a developer saying something positive. There are people who are like, man, I'm hyped. Oasis, you're saying, I tried to super chat, but I could not type anything. Well, that's weird. Try typing it in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye out on the chat and see if I can read it for you. But I do see people excited for the Pro, and I'm one of those people. I don't feel like the Pro is something that I want to come out and be like, guys, this is it. Like, you should be hyped. Like, no, the Pro is very different from the PS5 in that I feel like when the PS5 came out, it's like people should be hyped for this, because, man, do you guys like see like the way Sony, like, do you see the games that they have in common? Like, this looks awesome. We're not there yet, like, we just hear about the Pro. That's all. We just hear about it. We don't see it. Sony doesn't talk about it. And we're kind of getting to that point where, like, people are like, okay, when's this thing going to be revealed? And I'm with you there. I'm with you there. But I think games are going to be significantly more important than the Pro, than than the hardware at this point. I think the biggest mistake that Sony could make is if they come out and they just focus on older games. I think that would be devastating for the Pro, because people will not have good things to say if that happens. Like, I really do believe that it is going to be a really potent. They're going to need a potent combination of, here's really impressive hardware, higher resolutions, higher frame rates, more ray tracing, and here are new games. Here are at least a couple of new games running on that Pro. If that doesn't happen, I think that Sony's really going to struggle with the Pro, and I think that I think it's not going to go down the way Sony would have hoped it would have, right? That's my thought on it anyway. But either way, I'm happy. Like I said, I'm happy to hear devs talk about it. Um, I suspect, what are we? We're in like the second week of August now. So again, the rumor is this console is going to be revealed next month. That's the rumor. If it is true, then I suspect we're going to be hearing more, uh, stuff like this as we get closer, both good and bad. I think we're going to hear about some games that are leaking out that are going to be PS5 Pro enhanced. We're going to maybe, who knows, the console itself could leak. That's another thing we should mention. There is a chance that in the coming weeks, the console itself could leak, actually seeing it, because, Sony does have to manufacture these things. It actually, I will say, as soon as this thing is manufactured, it's going to leak. That happens every time. And the thing I'm most curious about, I want to know if when it becomes real, do people get more excited? That's what I want to know, because I feel like right now the PS5 Pro is suffering from a very similar thing that PlayStation games are, where it's like, I can come here and tell you guys, and other people will on occasion be like, "Oh, these are all the games Sony has in development." But like, people are like, I don't care because I don't see them. Like, Sony hasn't announced it. There's no official word. It's just rumor, hearsay, or job postings. So it doesn't matter, and people get frustrated because, like, when is Sony going to actually make it real? I feel like the Pro has kind of gotten to that point as well, where it's like we've been hearing about the Pro for like a year and a half. And I remember even just a couple of years ago, dude, like there were some insiders saying like Sony's making a Pro, and people laughed at it. They were like, no, they're not. Like, are you kidding me? Like, why are we even talking about this? And then just like a year and a half later, it's like, oh, the entire specs leaked out, you know? Um, and so I think really this is just a situation where I do think that when it becomes real, like when the Pro is officially announced, the marketing is in full swing, you're seeing it everywhere. People are talking about it. Mark Cerny's doing interviews. Developers are talking about their games for it. I think it's going to build hype. I think there will be a lot more people that were negative on it that might be like, you know what, actually, I don't know, maybe I will buy one, or I'll consider it, right? Or it seems like better than I had imagined in my head. I'm curious to see if that happens. I think that will happen, but it's still unknown right now. And um, yeah, so talking about the PS5 Pro once again, still waiting for the official word, but I'm looking forward to it. Just feels like this summer's kind of dragging. Capono, you're saying you're so curious on how Sony markets it. Yeah, me too. I'm really curious. I think that probably is the biggest question I have, because I think we have a pretty good idea of like, okay, what's it going to be? It's going to be a souped up PS5 with new technology. Yeah, okay, that fits the model of what a Pro console would be, right? But it really is like you see the trepidation with the fan base, with people online. Like you just feel this level of like, I don't know about this. And that right there is where marketing either makes or breaks that, right? Like marketing is either going to come out and just blow people away and they're like, holy shit, I just saw Ghost of Tsushima 2 running on a PS5 Pro. I want that. Or it's going to be like, why is Sony showing me Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on a PS5 Pro? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like that, you see how weird that sounds, how vastly different that sounds? Like, I loved Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, and I love Insomniac, and I love the PS5, but if that's like a game, we're going to take Spider-Man again, like, okay, that's fine. I know Spider-Man's going to have to be there, but like, I'm just saying, man, Sony's going to need some extra ammunition. They're going to need that for the Pro. At least one or two big bomb drops to really make people go, oh shit. Although, and I always have to bring this up every time we talk about the Pro and what I think Sony needs to do, I always got to bring up the fact, or Sony could just be sitting back and be like, we'll just wait for GTA 6. GTA 6 will do it for us. It's like Rockstar comes out and is like, yeah, we're not supporting the Pro. Could you imagine that? Oh, that's a good point that I keep forgetting about. You're saying the PS5 Pro will boost PSVR 2? Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Another marketing beat there. So, yeah, maybe the Pro could kind of help PSVR 2 out. Because I think PSVR 2 does need some help right now. Oh my God. When this cup is full, it feels like dangerous. It's like so heavy. There will be a GTA 6 PS5 Pro bundle. Oh, man. I mean, if Sony makes that happen, I think we could see, if Sony is partnered with Rockstar Games, we could see a PS5 base model GTA 6 bundle and a Pro bundle. And man, that bundle would kill. I mean, when we talk about a bundle that sells out that people can't get their hands on, that would be the one. If Sony has see, that's the thing. Everybody sits here and we're like, oh, Sony. I mean, not everybody, but so many conversations like, what's Sony doing? Sony's going down the drain. They don't know what they're doing. It's like, if you're Sony and you know that's coming, like you already signed that deal, you're just laughing, dude. You're just laughing. That's the truth. We have Cypherpunk. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. You're saying, but any game they show for the Pro, it's still going to be a PS5 game at the end of the day. That is true. Yeah. And so people are going to have to be sure not to get their expectations too high, right? Where it's like, here's why I view it. Because you're right. It's still going to be a PS5 game, but considering most games we've seen revealed and announced since the PS5 launched are also PS4 games, I mean, that might not be such a bad thing, if you get what I'm saying. Where, for as exciting as a lot of these games we've seen up until this point have been, most of them, it's like, yeah, and they're also playable on PS4. So it really takes away that next-gen feel. The Pro, considering the timing of it coming out, if we really do reach that point going into 2025 where it's like, going forward, we're just going to continue to see more devs announce games that are not coming to PS4, but they're also going to be Pro enhanced, it could kind of give that illusion. Well, maybe not an illusion, but it could boost people's feelings. Like, oh, now it's really starting to feel like next gen, And Mrs. MBG comes in dropping another single gift, bringing us to 20 members. I see Mrs. MBG's really trying to get that member train going again. Thank you for that. Mrs. MBG's giving back today. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
I see RG was gifted. 5 more for kittens or for kitties and halfway to Astro. Yeah, we still have some time, guys. Let's see if we can do it. I would like to play Astro. Don't let me down. Don't let me down, guys. And Hellbound does it. Hellbound 1981, the legend comes in. He comes in clutch. He drops another 5 memberships for you guys. And he gets us to the halfway point. He makes sure that we can feed the Micro Panther and feed the Beast. I got to bring Boss in here, though. I know Luna's in here. But Hellbound, thank you so much, man. Absolute legend. Always coming in clutch. So we're at the halfway point, guys. 25 more members. And we will do a member exclusive Astrobot, or not Astrobot. It's not Astrobot. That's not out yet, but Astro's Playroom stream. Okay. Let me add that to the counter here. Thank you guys for all of the continued support. Let me grab Boss real quick. Hold on. Sorry about that. I got him in here, though. Boss is in here. And I see we have Raven X0 coming in and actually becoming a member. Raven, thank you so much for that, buddy. That actually brings us up to 26 as well. Yeah, every new membership counts towards it, too. So welcome aboard, man. Love to see it. But you know how it goes.
Boss, do you read me? It's time to feed the beast.
Luna, she is fully trained at this point already. She knows when it's time to feed the micro panther. So it's in reverse today. Boss is actually below me here eating his treats, and Luna is taking the. She's gonna take the spotlight right now. I love that some people are still coming in and be like, "Oh, new cat, I missed that." A2 says, "Oh, damn, new cat." Yeah, man. Luna is the latest member of the family, the newest member of the family. MBG has a goal of making Luna as big as Boss. Well, I actually feel much better giving Luna like more treats because she was pretty skinny when we got her. Like she actually seemed like she's maybe a little underfed. So she's got a lot of growing to do. She's also got a ton of energy, so she like burns everything off real quick. Boss, I don't know, man. He's he seems like he's getting lazier by the day. So I'm trying to like mitigate how many treats I give him anymore. Raven X says glad to join. Well, thank you so much for that, buddy. So we're officially over the halfway point now, guys. We will continue to talk about these topics. We have more discussion to there's more discussion to be had here. So let's see if we can keep that member train going. Again, single gifts help as well. Did I snag the Astro controller pre-order? Yes. Well, Mrs. MBG did for me. I gave up on it because I got annoyed and I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous. Like, why can't I just buy this product? Why does it have to be such a nightmare? But Mrs. MBG didn't give up. She stuck with she stuck to it and she went to Walmart and they actually did have it available. And I was like, wow, okay. I did not expect that. So she got it for me, man. And I'm feel very lucky about that because I really did give up. I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get it. And we have Scuba Tank filled with farts gifting a membership. Love the name, man. Thank you so much for that. Thank you for keeping the member train going. He brings it up to 27. Scuba Tank filled with farts brings it to 27 members. So we're making our way, guys. We're making our way. I appreciate all the support. We have an awesome community, very generous community. Appreciate everything you guys do for me and the and everyone here. Mrs. MBG, don't let MBG overfeed Boss with those treats. Dude, I'm trying. I'm only giving him a couple at a time now. And I'm pulling back how much wet food I give him a little bit. He's got to lose a couple pounds. And Shadow Link comes in. Shadow Link showing some support, keeping the train going. Love to see it, man. Thank you so much. You just brought us up to 28. So you're keeping the ball in the air, man. Good stuff, bro. Good stuff. So we're chipping away at it. Did I pre-order the Astrobot remote? If you mean the DualSense, yeah, I got it. I was able to get it, luckily. $8-Bit Pro was gifted that membership there, so Mrs. MBG is chiming in the chat saying, for those looking, the last time I checked, Walmart still had the controller in stock. It seems like Walmart is the only retailer that's actually trying to, as you put it, like stagger it out. Which is surprising. But I guess maybe there's overall less traffic there. Maybe Walmart's not the first place people think to go to. Raven X0 says, let's get that Astro stream. Yeah, let's do it, man. Lone Wolf Gamer says he didn't know Walmart was selling it. You're not the only one, man. I noticed people or accounts that I was following on Twitter, they were posting it, but they were like posting links to GameStop and Target and Amazon, but nobody was posting it to Walmart. So I think that might be another reason why. Shadowlink says, paying it forward. I got some free gifts before I became a member. Now I like to gift when I can. Well, I very much appreciate that, man. Means a lot. And Laman with the super chat says, oh, let me see here. He says, check your last PS5 tweet. My question is there. Well, give me just a moment, Laman. We also have Sage Solutions saying, any info on the PS5 Pro having an optical port? It's a good question. I'm going to say it probably won't. I can't confirm that, but I know that that was one of the bigger disappointing things we learned about with both. I think it was both the PS5 and the Series X. Maybe not the Series X, though. I'm not sure about that, but I know people were disappointed when we found out the PS5, the base model, didn't have an optical port. So it's unlikely. I don't want to say it's not possible, but I want to say it's unlikely. And if we hear anything official on that, I'll let you know. Fred says it's great to see the community grow little by little still. Yeah, man. The community, I would say the community is growing in a sense that I notice that when it comes to the more direct type of engagement, it's strong and it's still there. I mean, what's important for me is the fact that people are still showing up and still, this being a PlayStation focused channel. I mean, let's face it, during a time like this, it's about as slow as it gets. So the fact that so many people are still tuning in and still, hanging out with me and talking PlayStation, talking gaming means a lot. But Laman, let me go see if I can find. I might not be able to find your message, man. Because the tweet that you're referring to, I have there's already 256 posts. Yeah, there's no way, dude. I would say try to put it in the chat. There's no way I'm going to be able to find your message. There's too much to wade through. Laman. Just try to put it in a regular chat in the chat box. I'll see if I can keep an eye on it. MBG, what games are you definitely getting for the rest of 2024? Right now, I mean, I'm getting Black Myth Wukong. By the way, I'm going to throw this out here real quick. Apparently, a review leaked for Black Myth Wukong. Okay? And the review was basically saying this is a potential Game of the Year contender. 90 hours to 100%. Based off the leaked review. 90 hours to 100% Black Myth Wukong. That really surprised me. That's a long time. I would have thought maybe 40, 50 hours. So it's double that. We have Josh with the super chat, and he says, PSVR 2 is the most next-gen thing this generation. I don't care about sales numbers. I'm talking tech, immersion, and audio. Outperforms PCVR with its feature set. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Josh. I don't really play VR, or I haven't played it lately, but when I was experiencing it, I definitely could tell, yeah, there's just something truly next gen about experiencing Resident Evil 4 Remake in VR compared to playing it regularly. I get what you're saying. And actually get some Trismegistus comes in out of nowhere, dropping another 5 bomb, another 5 memberships gifted. Wait, that was the wrong one. Well, I guess it's technically the right one. Get some! Dude, every time, now that I'm playing Helldivers 2 again, every time I hear that, it reminds me of actually dropping membership gifts. It triggers something in my brain. But actually, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you keeping that member train going. You just brought us up to 33 members. So, guys, less than 20 away now. Less than 20 away, and we hit the goal. And we get to do some Astros Playroom for the members after this. Let me add this to the counter. Good stuff, man. Appreciate everything you do for the community, actually. And Josh with another super chat says, and I can only speak for myself, but I feel there's been loads of next-gen feeling games for me this gen. I've been having a great time. I can't keep up. Well, I feel like when I talk about this idea of this gen feeling lacking, I don't want to make it sound like that's how everybody feels, because that's not true. There are plenty of people who feel good about this generation, that they've had a great time with their PS5 and they have played games that they feel like, wow, like this definitely doesn't feel like something I would have necessarily expected to get on PS4. And I firmly believe that it's one of these things too that you just kind of get used to it, right? How funny would it be if everybody who plays on PS5 right now, if they went back to PS4 for 2 weeks, right? Suddenly the PS5 doesn't exist. You're back on PS4 for 2 weeks. You will definitely be like, "Oh, you know what? Actually, maybe the PS5 wasn't as bad as I thought." you know? Like you'd probably be itching to get back to the PS5. Cuz it's just that kind of how that goes. You get used to it. But when I think about how I have experienced this generation so far, it's a bit mixed, right? Like on one hand, I feel like I've thoroughly enjoyed this generation. I've thoroughly enjoyed plenty of games. But my desire lies more in just wanting Sony to pump up the excitement a little bit. And Matt Fu comes in. Matt comes in and drops another 5-bomb. He says we are keeping this member train going, doing so appropriately with the Astro profile picture. Clearly, Matt wants us to do an Astro stream. So, Matt, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you consistently dropping membership gifts for this community and showing support. Capono says, so much support today. Yeah, man, it's awesome to see. I love this community, man. So, Matt, let me add that to the counter. We are now at 38 members, guys. So, 12 away from crushing the goal. That's awesome. I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, I'm not saying I didn't think we could get to 50. I still think we can get to 50, but I'm just surprised that, the stream hasn't been going for that long and we're already this close. So appreciate that, guys. Actually, you're saying, I feel like Black Myth is going to be this year's Liza P. in being surprisingly amazing. I cannot wait. Yeah, I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it a moment ago, but a leaked review came out for Black Myth Wukong, and the leaked review, the reviewer said that it's basically a Game of the Year contender, and they also said that it's 90 hours to 100% completion. Which I mean, God, man, I'm not that surprised. Like, I was surprised when I read that, but when I think about the last trailer that they just dropped for Black Myth Wukong, are you saying it's a 4chan leak though? Is it? Like, we'll have to be careful. We'll have to be careful then. But I would believe it just because when they showed that trailer, it's like almost a 5-minute trailer, and the amount of enemies, the amount of bosses, and just the amount of locations, it just kept going on and on and on, where it's like, my God, like how much is in this game? And it definitely gave a feeling of like this thing is massive. This thing is going to be massive. The music seems good too, yeah. Everything about it seems good, man. You like seeing these unknown devs make these amazing games? First Stellar Blade, now Black Myth. Yeah, it's true. It seems like there are just development teams that just kind of underground, the talent's there, but they just come out and they're like, yeah, this is our first game. This is our first try making a game like this, and they just kill it. Vic Sicius, a member for 14 months, says, hi, to me, the PS5 is disappointing. I can't remember a good game on PS5 that matched my taste. I use PS4 more often, even just for streaming reasons. Well, that's what I mean, Vic. It's a bit split. When I ask people their thoughts, like on this generation, it seems a bit split to me, where I definitely see a lot of people that are just like, it was bad. But for those who are willing to give further explanations, there are definitely people, like I said, where they come out and they're like, I really love this generation. I've actually really enjoyed it and I've had a good time. And, I think the most reasonable take I've seen, like generally, like the most balanced take, and this is probably where I would fall, is people who are like, well, there's a lot about the PS5 generation that I like and that I've enjoyed and that has felt good, but there's also certain aspects that feel like it's lacking a bit, and I have higher expectations, or I did have higher expectations, and they're not necessarily fully being met. And I think that's fair, and I think that's why it's going to be so important to see how Sony rolls out the PS5 Pro, what they might do next month, because you know it feels like the time is right. Actually, you're saying, yeah, that last 4 minute trailer was sick. The devs also said they made the game for the players. So refreshing instead of making a game for activists. I think we're going to see more and more of this, man, because as time goes on, we see a bit of a divide taking place where games that are made in that way, where it's like, listen, we're just trying to appeal to the audience. We're trying to make this game for the players, right? For the gamers, and that's the main focus, and it's obvious. Um, Meanwhile, you have other games where it's like, yeah, we're trying to get you to buy our game, but we're also trying to appeal to this one subsection of you know activists on the internet, and it's like, yeah, I think we're starting to see that one of those things has a much higher chance of making much more money and finding much more success. And that makes me happy because it's like, well, that's kind of the way it should always be, right? Like, don't just keep the players, keep the gamers as the focus. If you do that, you can't really go wrong, because that's what you're doing. You're making a video game. Just appeal to the market that you're trying to sell to. It's not that hard. I don't think it's that hard, you know? MBG, what do you think is lacking this gen? Can you put into words what a next gen is or should be? Is it graphics, more interactivity, new mechanics? Do you have examples? It's a great question. It's a tough one. I'm going to think about that for a moment because I have to unpack that. Fred says, MBG, while I've enjoyed the games so far, I can understand how people are feeling let down with little first-party announcements. Yeah. The biggest disconnect between maybe this will help answer this question. Like, what makes something next gen? Like, what would make the PS5 feel like really next gen? Like, it's really, this is it. Well, when I think about the PS4 generation, right? One of the biggest differences from the Sony side is cross-gen didn't really exist. Just really wasn't a thing. So right off the bat, it automatically made the PS4 feel a little bit more next gen, just for the simple fact that, yeah, you can't play this on PS3. So it's like whether you really felt it was next gen or not, you had no choice. Like Sony was basically saying like it's next gen because we're saying it is, right? Because it's not releasing on the last gen. But I would also make the argument that the biggest difference, other than that, between the PS4 gen and the PS5 gen, if we're talking time aligned, right, at the same point in time, the PS4, by this point, Sony was going nuts, dude. Like, they were firing on all cylinders. Like, not only did they have games releasing, but they were putting on legendary E3 shows showing 3, 4, 5 first party games that would be considered like bangers, right? That games that were just getting people unbelievably hyped, on top of having massive third party support, massive support with second party. And this is where it feels strange because we're not seeing that happen now. I'm not saying it isn't going to happen, but it's like by this point in time, Sony was going crazy. Where we are now, it's not the total opposite. The total opposite would be there are no games. We have no games. We don't know anything. They aren't doing stated plays. They aren't doing showcases. The communication's gone and the hype is completely dead and nobody's supporting the brand. That would be the opposite. I don't think it's all the way there. I don't think it's anywhere near that. But this is more of like a much more conservative approach that is antithetical, almost antithetical. It's not fully, but almost antithetical to the philosophy and the approach that Sony had last gen, where last gen, I think in like 2015 and 2016, you got this real sense that Sony was trying to go above and beyond to impress you, to like just, oh, hey, if this one big game we just showed you didn't do it, well, you know what? Buckle up because we got another one. And this one might be the one for you. And you just, it felt like everywhere you look, like Sony was just boom, 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 You compare that to where we are now, dude, we are looking down the barrel of who's excited for Concord, guys. And again, I'm not trying to hate on the game, but it's just like, oh, okay, all right, well, maybe there's not much excitement there. All right, well, okay. Well, Astrobot. And it's like, yeah, okay, all right, Sony. Astrobot saving you. Like, I'm going to be honest, man. To me, Astrobot is saving Sony this holiday. Astrobot's doing the heavy lifting. Until Dawn remake. Lego Horizon, Silent Hill remake. Again, it's like, this isn't bad. But where's the more exciting stuff, Sony? Where is it? And even the stuff that Sony has announced, like Wolverine and like Death Stranding 2, like, they're not really showing it that much. I mean, don't get me wrong. We did see a big chunk of Death Stranding 2 in January. We saw like a fucking 10-minute trailer, and it was amazing. But then it just disappears completely. And, it's like, I just think that what would make this feel like next, because you asked, like, is it game mechanics, is it features? I mean, I've always kind of felt that the PS5 has felt like a next gen console. Like, again, go play on a PS4. Like, you're gonna realize, like, damn, the PS5 does everything significantly better. Like, in some cases, night and day difference. Load times, 60 FPS for like 95% of games, 98% of games. The DualSense feels a million times better than although the DualShock 4 was amazing. To be like, honestly, the DualShock 4 is still amazing, but the DualSense definitely outclasses it in every way. And there's a myriad of other things that if I really wanted to jot it all down and really think, like, what makes this feel like a next-gen leap, that's all already there. But the only thing that's been really lacking, in my opinion, is Sony almost like refuses to treat this console like a proper next-gen console in some ways. It feels like they really tried to in the beginning, where it's like Demon Souls remake, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Returnal, like these are PS5 only games, and especially with Ratchet and Clank, they're like, this is next gen, right? Like, look at the SSD making this Portal shit, possible. It's like, yes, like, this is awesome. They built the hype, but then they just stopped. I don't know why. Like, they were just like, when we're ready, I guess. We're running up. Maybe they're running a little bit behind. Maybe that's what it is. It's just like, sorry, we had to delay it by like a year before we can really build that second wave of hype. I don't know. But actually get some Trismegistus comes in with another 5 bomb. Actually dropping 5 more membership gifts for you guys. Bringing us up to 43 members. Actually wants to do it. He wants to hit the goal today. Guys, we are now just 7 members away from hitting our goal of 50. You guys never fail to impress me here. So I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling like we're going to end up hitting it. Yeah, W's in the chat for Exley, man. What soundbite should I use here? Hold on. What was it?
But that was some fancy shooting. You're pretty good.
I haven't used that one in a little while. I forgot about that one. Wait, hold on. I got one. Every time Every time Exley sees a woke game. Oh, I'm echoing? Oh, shit. Hold on. Why am I echoing? Wait, is it echo? Is it all of them echoing? Or is it just, was it just that one? And OK comes in and drops a single gift. OK is keeping it going. OK, thank you so much for that. I feel it's always weird saying your name like that because it just sounds like I'm not saying somebody's name. I'm just starting every sentence with OK. But thank you so much for dropping another membership gift, man. That brings us up to 44. So, guys, 6 away. 6 away, and we do it. Thank you. Thank you for all of the support, guys. Figuratively literal here. Oh, wait, hold on. Fred Vance comes in before I read the super chat. Fred Vance, Fred ADHD Vance, dropping another single gift here. He's setting it up. Fred sets it up. Brings it to 45. 5 more, and we hit the goal. You guys are doing it, man. OK drops another single. He drops another single gift. This is what I'm saying, man. The single gifts, they help. They add up. If it wasn't for the single gifts today, we wouldn't be this close to the goal. And Exley does it. Exley dunks it. Exley drops another 5 memberships for you guys. Exley is doing heavy lifting today for the community, and he gets us over the goal. We did it. We crushed 50 members today, guys. We crushed the 50. And Shadow Link comes in. Shadow Link is tag teaming it, dropping another 5 bomb. That's 10 more memberships gifted, securing a Astro's Playroom stream for members after this stream finishes up. You guys did it. That's going to be a reward. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. Thank you, Shadow Link. Thank you, Exley. And Fred is still going. Fred is still going. Fred is bringing the hype. He's like, we are not stopping. We're doing 5 more, bro. We're doing 5 more. We're going beyond 50. Look at this. We are now at 61 members. Guys, you didn't just crush the goal. You're like obliterating it. You're just soaring past it. Thank you so much for all the support, guys. I'm happy. I'm actually really glad we were able to hit that goal because I really did want to play Astro's Playroom. It's been a while since I played it. I booted it up like 2 weeks ago just to kind of like, get familiar with it again. But it's kind of weird how, like, man, even though it wasn't that long ago, it feels like it's been so long since I played it. But good stuff, guys. Awesome community we have here. Look at that. So you can see just how far beyond the goal we actually went here. We are now at 61 members on the day. Incredible. Let me make sure I don't miss these super chats. We have, hold on, where did I leave off here? Yeah, we have Figuratively Literal with a super chat. And he says, expand the development cycles and reduce the announce to release. I think it explains it, explains a bit. Also the live service stuff. Not defending it, but it makes sense. Yeah, and that's probably the big difference, right? What I was just talking about a moment ago, where it's like, why was it during the PS4 gen at around the same time Sony was going crazy? Well, there is something important I do have to add to that. Ghost of Tsushima was announced. Days Gone was announced. God of War was announced. Spider-Man was announced. But the commonality between all of these games and the timing of when they were announced, they were all kind of shotgun approach announced, right? Like all at one time. But we kept seeing them, for like years to come. And games like The Last of Us Part 2 as well. Like we kept seeing them for years to come where, it did start to kind of get to that point. And I can understand from a developer's perspective where the pressure starts to mount and you start to feel stressed where it's like, guys, this is like our 4th time seeing it. It's been like 3 years. Like when is it coming out? And I could totally understand from the developer's perspective where you're like, man, it would be really nice if we didn't have to deal with that and we could just kind of come out and show it and be like, we can tell you when it's coming out. You don't have to wait 2 years to find out when it's coming out. And so if that is what is going on, and not to sound like a broken record, but it's relevant to the conversation in general. Okay, I'm reading the chat. It's relevant to the conversation. If that's the case, this would explain why, right? Like, why is Sony running a little bit behind? Why does it seem like they're pushing it out another year, or they're, it's taking them longer this generation? That would actually perfectly explain it. So I'm just really curious to see what happens in the coming months. And Sean Mitchell comes in and drops another 5-bomb. Sean is still keeping the member train going. You guys are incredible. Sean, thank you so much, man. Thank you for another 5 membership gifts. That brings us up to the coveted 66. Starting to see the number 66 again. But that brings us up to 66 members. So you guys are going well beyond the goal today, showing incredible support. And Fred says, if y'all haven't hit that like button, do so. Yeah, thank you for that as well, Fred. Yeah, if you guys haven't hit the like button and you're enjoying the stream and you're hyped to see the community 100 for Sekiro stream, whoa, Sean, don't get ahead of yourself now. We could make a Sekiro stream a thing in the future. We could. Today it's got to be Astro, but you're gonna start making me sweat here, bro. I gotta start really easy with something like Astro, okay? And Steven Leon comes in and drops the 10-bomb. Steven, he's like, you know what, bro? We gotta keep it going. We gotta keep this thing going. Steven takes us past what would have been another goal of 75. We're now at 76 with Steven's 10-bomb.
Holy shit.
This is MBG also demands more treats for the cats. Well, all right, I could try to stealth it. All right, I'm gonna try to get the treats and just give a couple to Luna. Try to make sure Boss doesn't know, okay? Because he's getting too big, man. Mrs. MBG, listen, if you're gonna have me continue to well, it's not. She's not the one who is making me do it, but. I'm saying you're going to have to get a leash. We're going to have to take Boss for walks. That's going to have to happen. Concord Day 1 stream. Dude, I will never stream Concord again. You hear me? I will never. I streamed that game one time and people clowned on me for it because I had a couple bad moments. All right. I'm going to do it real self-like. Boss is sleeping underneath the desk. I'm going to try to get these treats out real quiet like so I can give him the Luna. I don't know why I'm whispering. Doing some like Metal Gear stuff right now. He's still sleeping. Uh-oh. He turned his head. Uh-oh. He's been alerted. When will I be adding the Concord emojis? Oh, man. But let me update this one more time so you guys can see where we're at. I'll continue with these super chats, and we do have a couple of other topics to dive into a little bit more in depth here. So, Steven, once again, man, thank you for the 10 membership gifts. And just another, sorry to sound so redundant, but just another shout out to all you guys today for making it happen. There you go. Look at that. Absolutely crushing it today. Actually, you're saying Sony should have done an Astrobot controller plus a game combo deal. Yeah, that would have been cool. It seems like Sony's having a struggle just even getting I don't know, like getting these things to just be sold on their own website. It's stressful to think that anytime there's a desirable PlayStation product that launches on their website, it's just like, well, good luck. All right. Oh wait, it's Beast MDE saying I'm hyped. I got the controller. Just got it from Direct. You know what? Let me check real quick. I'm actually curious. Is it working yet? Okay, so I'm on PlayStation Direct now. I'm gonna sign in. Well, all right, hold on. I'm surprised it didn't let me auto sign in. I'm seeing the Astro. Oh, so it is there. It's not sold out? That's shocking. Okay, well, damn. I was experiencing a lot of emotion earlier for no reason. A lot of disappointment. I guess it really was just the website being broken due to traffic. All right, that you were in a queue and it let you in to buy. Okay. No one bought it. Yeah, you know what? It seems like there was this glitch where people couldn't put in their credit card info or whatever. Well, that's good. I'm glad to see that it's up there for people to get. I was able to get mine through Walmart, so interesting. I fully expected it to be just completely sold out. That Astrobot controller looks so good though. All right, let me I'm a little bit behind on the super chats here. We have Cypherpunk saying if the first person if the FPS resolution and higher textures are that important to some people, then PC is probably a better platform for them. Yeah, and that's always kind of the argument, right? Cypherpunk, where it's like, look, if it matters to you that much, then you probably should be on PC. And that's where I don't know. I think there's always though like this kind of middle ground, right? Where for me, a PS5 Pro is it's exciting in the sense that I've used my PS5 for the past 4 years and I haven't been unhappy with it. You know, I know that it's a $500 machine. It's not going to run games as good as like a $2,000 PC would. But I'm okay with that as long as they look good enough and they run well enough. That's all that matters to me. But it kind of reaches this point where it's like Sony comes out and they're like, all right, look, here's another PS5, but it's better than the one you currently have. And it's still not going to be as good as a $2,000 PC or $2,500 PC or even a $1,500 PC. It's not going to do the same things or not do them exactly as well, right? But it's going to do things better than the PlayStation 5 you're currently playing on. But the price is also going to be reflective of that. You're not going to have to spend $1,000 or $1,200 or even, I would hope, $700, right? Maybe it is $500, probably $600. But I don't know. For me, it just feels like this kind of reasonable middle ground for me where it's like, well, then again, I'm a bit of an outlier because I do have a PC that if I wanted to, I could play it. I could play certain PlayStation games on my PC, you know, certainly at higher settings than what I play on the PS5. But that's where I realized, like, I don't know, it's about the experience for me. I'm tethered to the PlayStation console, you know, so it's just an easier sell for me. Where it's like if Sony puts out a Pro, and again, it's like I'm not just gonna buy it for the sake of buying it. Like if Sony were to come out with the Pro and be like, sorry, we really don't have any games ready for this. You can get it now. You could buy the console. I mean, if anything, I could buy it to review it on my channel, I guess. But like there has to be something there. You know what I mean? To make it feel like, oh, okay, yeah, like this will feel worth it, right? But I don't know. I think that market is always going to exist. I guess is what I'm trying to say. The PS4 Pro proved that there is and the Xbox One X for that matter, it proved that there is, well, albeit a very small market, but there is a market of console players who are like, listen, if halfway through the gen you want to upgrade this thing and allow me to get, a little bit more from it, I'll pay for it. I'll buy it. Sure. And if you're Sony, well, I guess if you're Microsoft, it's not worth it. But if you're Sony, clearly they still think it's worth it. So, Fred, you're saying you just finished upgrading your wife's PC for her? It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with my PC. I don't really do gaming on it. I did play Hellblade on it, and it ran pretty well, but actually saying nice, I just got the Astro controller. Good shit, man. Good shit. Captain Hook, member for 8 months, says GTA 6, Death Stranding 2, Judas, Doom Dark Ages, Fable, Monster Hunter Wilds, Marvel 1943. 2025 is cooking. Been since, 2018, we were fed this good. 2001 GOAT year. Yeah, it's interesting that you list out those games like that because I don't know. I guess I'm so fixated. I've been so fixated on the remainder of this year. I've been so fixated on September and the holiday season. And there are quite a few games coming out this holiday that I want to play that I kind of didn't realize. 2025 is looking like it could be an absolutely insane year for games. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't know why I keep forgetting that GTA is targeting fall 2025. I keep forgetting that. For some reason, I keep thinking, and maybe it's because I'm expecting it to be delayed, but I keep thinking that GTA 6 is going to be a 2026 game. It could be. It could end up being an early 2026 game. But, man, if GTA 6 ends up being a fall 2025 game, if it doesn't get delayed and it comes out in October, November, my God, dude. Every video game publisher, run for your life. Run for your life. If that happens, dude, every game that was supposed to come out holiday 2025 is going to be stacked at the beginning of 2026. GTA 6 will get delayed. I don't know, man. The only reason I'm thinking it might not get delayed is because, dude, it's they've been working on this game for over a decade. So it's there was clearly no rush to announce a release date, I feel like this is one of those situations where they only announced a date when they were pretty damn confident in it. Hold on. We have Lamin, a member for 14 months, says Google MP first Fire Sprite and click the first article. It was 2 days ago. I believe that is Until Dawn 2. What do you think? Also, God bless you. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, so I talked about this at the beginning of the stream when I did the topic rundown. Yes, MP First found more evidence of Fire Sprite's game being Until Dawn 2, as I said earlier, but I'll repeat it here for anybody who wasn't here earlier in the stream. MP First found a Fire Sprite, the resume of a Fire Sprite game writer who mentions a, quote, unannounced branching horror adventure game within a pre-established IP. I fully believe at this point it's Until Dawn 2. There is way, way, way too much evidence. What's going to be super fascinating, though, is if this is Until Dawn 2. Supermassive was the one who made Until Dawn 1. And what was supposed to be the sequel to Until Dawn ended up turning into The Quarry. And I don't think The Quarry was a big hit. Until Dawn was a big hit. And it seems like something went wrong between Supermassive and Sony where, they just, I don't know if there's a falling out or it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But the idea of Until Dawn 2 coming from a completely different studio, but an internal studio, that being Fire Sprite, that's interesting to me because I haven't played Until Dawn, so I can't tell you what makes the game special. I don't know what made Until Dawn such a success. And I don't know if maybe any of you can tell me right now what made it what made it so appealing. It's weird why Ballistic Moon isn't doing Until Dawn 2. Ballistic Moon, yeah, I thought they were doing a sequel to Until Dawn, but they're a new studio. Like, they just recently formed, and they are former Supermassive developers, but they were tasked with remaking Until Dawn. But yeah, I'm really thinking it's Until Dawn 2. Jay Shako, you're saying great cast and it was unique at the time. Interesting characters that are equally lovable and hateable. Interesting. Yeah, I'm fascinated in playing it. I mean, I know I could play it now if I wanted, but you know, I'll wait for the remake, see it in this new spruced up version. According to their website, they are remaking Until Dawn. Then they move on to a brand new IP. Interesting. Very interesting. I didn't know that. Wouldn't be too surprising, though. Sony seems to be obsessed this generation with greenlighting new IP. I know that might not sound true to people because they're like, what new IP? It's all being worked on. But that is another reason why a lot of these projects maybe are taking so long. It was just well done across the board. Great story, great graphics, good scares, and the unique way you control who lives and who dies. It was a blast. Well, I'll tell you what. Aside from this job listing, I'm telling you, the fact that it's like they're making a movie, suddenly they're like, yeah, we're making a movie. It's already begun filming, which is crazy because, like, I feel like we just learned about a movie being made like a couple of months ago, but it's already filming now. They're remaking it and they're putting it out for PS5 and PC. Oh, it's also worth noting, MP First is reporting that they think this game might go day and date on PC because one of the developers is saying they're making it for both PS5 and PC. Now, I'm not jumping to conclusions. I'm not going to say either way. Is it possible by the time this game comes out, Sony could be doing day and date with some of their single player games? Yeah, anything's possible. You know, it's a new era of Sony. Who knows what kind of decisions they'll end up making? We know they're getting more aggressive with PC. But it could also, you know, don't want to necessarily get any PC players' hopes up. It's just it could also just be that they're developing it simultaneously, but it'll still come out first for PS5. It's just that they will have, I don't know, they'll just be working on the PC port after the PS5 version's done. Something like that. I don't know. We'll see what comes of that. But yeah, man. I guess the only question that I would ask at that point is, how excited would you guys be if it was Until Dawn 2? Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, Fred. You're saying it gave way for the Dark Picture anthology? I did forget about that. Alex Mercer, the prototype, says, I couldn't help but hear PlayStation Portal is getting cloud support. Reforge Gaming mentioned it, so I tried searching up if it's true or not. Is this legitimate? PlayStation Portal cloud support? I haven't. So the only thing I remember hearing about PlayStation Portal cloud support is, and I would have to double check myself on this because it's been a while. I could have sworn that when it first launched, I think it was actually Hideaki Nishino, because I think he was the one doing the interviews talking about the PlayStation Portal. He seemed to directly hint in an interview at it being a possibility, but they're not really thinking about that right now. Let me double check. Will the PlayStation Portal support cloud streaming by the end of the year? Why PlayStation Portal doesn't have cloud streaming at launch? Speaking to Japanese outlet AV Watch, Nishino said that the main technical difference between remote play and cloud streaming is the location of the server, so there shouldn't be any technical limitations when it comes to supporting cloud gaming on the portal. However, Sony doesn't simply want to check boxes and wants to ensure that if cloud streaming is implemented, it's done right. Sony's only just enabled cloud streaming on the PS5 in select regions, and although early impressions have been very positive, this feature is in its infancy. Quote, it's easy to check off the features. This is what Nishino said, translated. However, we would like to proceed carefully while considering whether this is a good idea and whether we can truly provide gameplay without any problems, end quote. So that's the only official word from Sony themselves on this, where like he's not saying no, but this was back when the Portal first launched. He's saying that like not right now, and we have to think about it. And it tells me that it's definitely possible and it's doable. And I think this is why a lot of people are wondering if Sony's going to do it. But it definitely seems like, you know, it's because the thing is, if you subscribe to PlayStation Plus, right? Let's say you buy a Portal and you sub the PlayStation Plus, you can start streaming PS Plus Premium. That is, you can start streaming PS5 games through your Portal, and that's I think why Sony is very careful about this, because they're like, no, we want you to not only buy that game, we don't want you to stream that game, we want you to buy it, and we want you to do it through PS5. That's why I think they're probably not doing it, or at least not anytime soon. Maybe if they start to expand PS Plus, because let's keep in mind, PS Plus is still not, that's not the primary driver for Sony. Sony's primary driver is the console and buying games. PS Plus is secondary to that. If Sony's plans ever change where PS Plus becomes more of a, more of a priority, doing something like that makes a lot more sense. So that's my thoughts on that. We have Waylark here saying PlayStation Pro is equivalent of a PC player paying $600 for a GPU upgrade to get just a few extra frames. LOL. I mean, I see where the comparison's coming from, but the reason why I'm going to say I don't think that's completely fair yet is we don't know that that's true. Like, listen, I'll be the first one to agree with you, Waylark. If the PS5 Pro comes out and Digital Foundry comes out and they're like, listen, we've tested all these games, you're going to get about 10 more frames or 15 more frames at most. And that's it. Nothing else. I mean, I'd be like, holy shit, yeah, that doesn't seem worth the $600 upgrade at all. But that's why I'm saying, like, surely it has to be more than that, right? Like, it can't just be that, because if it is just that, then Sony will effectively make it so you should go to PC. If you're somebody who cares about getting an upgraded piece of hardware, yeah, we've seen that at times where it's like, oh, I paid this much more to upgrade my GPU and I got like a couple more frames. It's like, is that really? I mean, I guess it depends. If you really want those frames, it can be worth it. It's in the eye of the beholder, I guess. But for most people, they probably be like, I don't know, man. That doesn't necessarily seem fully worth it. But I don't know. When I think of like all the different things that Sony's trying to bring with this package, where it's not just like double the GPU, right? It is the upscaling tech. It is the ray tracing technology, the RDNA 4 ray tracing technology that's not even going to be available in GPUs, until next year. Again, I'm not trying to hype it up. I'm just saying, like, I would hope. This is why I said earlier that if Sony comes out and they show this off, like, it's got to be a complete package. It has to be. Like, you can't just come out and be like, guys, look, we can give you 15 more frames. That's great, right? You hype? I think everybody would be like, Sony, what the hell are you talking about? If that's the case, then Sony may as well start making PCs and making PC components, that you can buy. It's just like a PlayStation logo on it. You think they would never do that, would they? I don't know. Probably not. You're saying the closer we get to November, the more PC gamers here are trying to play it down. Threat is real. Well, see, here's how I view it. I do not think the PS5 Pro is a threat to PC. And I don't think PC is a threat to console. It's just not. I mean, could it be possible as time moves forward, the next 5 to 10 years from now, like there's a mass exodus from console to PC. It's possible, but keep in mind, like, what would drive that? Sony would drive that themselves. Like, I just got, and I'll read this super chat. Jerry Gamer, just give me one moment. I see OK says God of War Ragnarok 190 gigabytes on PC. Can't wait to play it on the 4090. See, that's the thing, dude. Like, you're hyped for God of War Ragnarok on PC because Sony did that. You know what I mean? Like, the PS5 itself didn't do that. PC itself didn't do that. It's just Sony did that. They're like, we're going to put this game on PC. And so if there's ever a kind of like mass exodus from console to PC, it's really going to be because Sony just basically is like, yeah, truthfully, if Sony does what Microsoft does, we're like, we just don't give a shit if you buy a console. You can if you want, but we're going everywhere. Day one. Cloud, PC, Fire Stick, eventually on your refrigerator, like if Sony were to do that, then I mean, there's no doubt that less people will buy PlayStation consoles because there will not be nearly as much of a need. But I don't know. It's one of these things where we just have to kind of see. I think Sony is going to attempt to thread a needle with the PS5 Pro where it's like, listen, it's not trying to compete with PC, but it's going to have some things on offer that it's not going to convince PC players to buy a console. But what it might do is it might convince certain people who are comfortable on console, but have always maybe thought about the idea of upgrading to PC, where it's like, here's the middle ground. What I'm most curious about with the PS5 Pro is I'm most curious about the ray tracing technology, because that seems to be the thing that Sony will be able to flex in like a really marketable way. We talked earlier about how will Sony market the Pro. Sony's apparently going to be able to come out and be like, yeah, we have RDNA 4 technology. We have technology in this PS5 Pro that's not available anywhere else. And that might only be true for like 6 months or something. I mean, I don't know. When is the next batch of AMD graphics cards coming out? I know it's 2025. Is it like early 2025, mid 2025? Does anybody know? But it's going to be, it's going to be for a limited amount of time. But if you're Sony, like, you market that. Mid to late. Oh, that would be interesting if it was that long. That'd be longer than I expected. Jerry Gamer, you're saying people are saying Cory Barlog is teasing his new game on X. What do you think? I believe it. I saw that post. He's like back in the office, I think. And some people were saying I don't know. I guess they're deciphering some kind of hint or something he gave, where it's like it says like Space 600 or something like that. Let me see if there's anything more on this. I mean, yeah, Cory Barlog, he likes to do that stuff a little bit, for sure. And there's been some speculation that they're going to be ready to show off this new IP sooner than we expect. Hold on. I'm trying to find Cory Barlog's Twitter. Oh, he has the Kratos Astrobot as his profile picture. That's awesome. Oh, okay. Yeah, I see. Now I see where people get the Space 600. He says, after ages in the wilds of the Badlands, I returned to the mothership to cause chaos. And then it's a Sony Santa Monica, looks like a sign, and underneath it says Space 600. Yeah, I don't know, man. He knows what he's doing, for sure. Like he's definitely teasing a little something here. Oh yeah, Mothership. Okay, you know what? Yeah, the more I think about it, the more it's like, okay, this is a bit. Yeah, it's kind of right there in front of us, isn't it? Mothership, Space 600. He's teased out numerous times that he's working on some kind of space themed IP, sci-fi IP. Well, so the question is not whether he's teasing the new game or not. I think it's obvious he is. The question is the timing. Would is he? And I'm not trying to like read too much into it, but everybody already is, from what I can tell on the replies. Is he starting to kind of like? Is he hinting that yeah, we're going to be showing this off soon? I don't know, man. It's like it turns out it's just Kratos is going to space. It's just God of War in space, bro. Actually, that sounds kind of awesome. Badlands is a reference to possible planet landscape. It's like he just straight up gave us like 3 different hints, like direct hints and like teases of the new IP. MBG, did you see the founder of Arcane made a new game? It's stated that Dishonored and Prey fans are going to be happy. I did see that. Yeah, I kept seeing that pop up on my feed. That's pretty cool. It's always cool to see like these AAA developers that, these veterans that have worked at these other studios kind of get together and start new projects. Remember Corey praised Death Stranding's music a lot. There's tons of spacey music. Yeah, it seems like he's directly teasing a space game, man. I I mean, look, does anybody I always have this like fear that like, man, what if like we've been talking about this new IP for like 4 years and it's like it's finally showed off and everybody's just like, that doesn't look good. That can't be possible, right? Surely that can't happen. It's got to be good. Showcase confirmed. Showcase confirmed. All I want to know is will he trope probing? Yeah, I'm excited for it. I did see that, Jay Shako. The PlayStation 4 exclusive Wild is no longer in development. Yeah, whatever happened with that game? Dark Demon Media, thank you for the super chat, buddy. You're saying Linus Tech made a point that the console innovations push the PC CPU/GPU innovations and said to respect the console space because without console, well, I guess, I don't know if you're typing a second super chat, but without console, maybe it wouldn't, it wouldn't help kind of push that a little bit. You see, if I don't follow Linus Tech, but if that's true that he said that, I mean, how do PC players feel about that? Like, do PC players agree? Do they? Is that a hard disagree? I mean, it seems, from what I can tell, it seems somewhat true. Like, I think PC and console, I think they're always going to coexist to a certain extent. I think there's always going to be innovation and, different things like that happening in the PC space by itself. But it wouldn't surprise me if, some of the stuff that some consoles are trying to do or some console developers are trying to do, or not developers, but designers. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that AMD appreciates their partnership with Sony and what Mark Cerny is doing with some of their stuff. I mean, obviously they're making AMD a lot of money, but it's just interesting to me. Like that to me is what makes Mark Cerny, unique in the sense that he's taking certain components off the shelf, but then he's tweaking them and he's trying to do his own thing with it. It's like, it's just kind of interesting to think like, what can you come up with here, Rich Rod 908 saying MB Gangsta Fudge Clint Eastwood. I think. Well, see, at this point, are you actually like? Do you mean Clint Eastwood, like the actor and director? Bungie Wanksters. Thank you, Rich Rod. Thank you. It's just not a proper stream if you're not out here dropping that $2 super chat saying God knows what. Where's Digital Dude, though? He was here yesterday causing chaos. Digital Dude was having too much fun yesterday. I know what you meant, Rich Rod. That's what made it so funny. Jerry Gamer, you're saying, I'm afraid and don't want when Santa and Monica's new game reveal, we finally talk about it. The topic goes to woke again. Cypherpunk says, will Corey's space game have pronouns? Well, listen. I mean, I played God of War Ragnarok, and I don't know, man. There were some people who were trying to like say stuff about it that I was just like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like the only part of God of War Ragnarok that felt a bit, it wasn't forced, but it just felt like it killed the pacing a little bit, was that really extended Atreus section with Angerboda, where it was like there were definitely some cool parts of that, but it went on a bit too long, where I'm like, okay, you know, like I think we can move on now. It's like, no, you still got like another hour and a half of this section. It's like, oh, okay. Still a masterpiece game, but you know, there were some people who were trying to talk about Ragnarok in a way where I was like, I don't agree. Like people who said that the game had some pacing issues, that I agreed with. But I'm not really worried about, at least for now, I'm not worried about something like that with this new IP, because I mean, look, man, it depends on how it's handled. It's like I've always said, and I will continue to say this. Every time we see a new game coming from a big studio and it's very narrative driven, it's going to have certain themes, I always believe like there is an agenda somewhere, you know, especially when you're talking about really creative people and really people who really have something they want to say or a story to tell. But it's all a matter of like, again, it's not really what you say, it's how you say it, it's how you handle it. It's why I always refer to Kojima with this conversation, where it's like, dude, Kojima has made literally some of the gayest games ever made. I mean, literally. At a time when this was like way less accepted, right? And nobody gave a shit. And like nobody was angry, nobody was upset. And it's because it's not like he didn't make it a big deal. He wasn't like, well, how do you feel about that? You know, it's like he just did it because he's like, yeah, this is cool. And but he also made it like where that wasn't the focal point of the story of the game. It was just there without a fucking spotlight on it. Just like a bunch of other stuff was there without a spotlight on it. And that's why I've always, yeah, exactly. Volgan is a raging bisexual. It's absolutely true. But like nobody cares because there's just a few little like nods towards it. And sometimes it's in a humorous way. Other times it's just right there. Not humorous, but just this there. But you don't care because it's like you could just tell like there isn't some kind of weird intention behind it. It's like, we need to get the message across that people need to accept Volgan and his bisexuality. Like, no. Like we're just making it that way. And it's not going to be important. But it, you know, it's just going to be there. And nobody cared. And that's why I try to say that, like, you know, I can't wait for MGS3. But that's why I try to say to people, like, it's if there are like, I want to believe Santa Monica Studio is a studio of rational, reasonable people that, you know, I'm positive there are people, you know, working at that studio that I don't fully agree with their opinions, and I'm sure we wouldn't see eye to eye on many things. But I, you know, it's just, it's no different than if you're in a room with people, a large group of people. Like, there's no denying that you're going to be surrounded by people that you don't agree with, people who have opinions that you're like, wow, I completely disagree, or, you know, whatever it might be. But that doesn't mean that there should be some kind of fight breaking out or people screaming or yelling at each other. It just means you know, two mature adults can have a conversation and agree to disagree, and nobody's going to end up being rude to anybody, or trying to push something on somebody or shove something down somebody's throat. You know what I mean? Like, I guess what I'm saying is, I'm hopeful that will, if that is what's going to happen, right? Like, that it will be handled appropriately. I'm just a firm believer, and it's not always what you say, it's mostly how you say it that matters. Because these days, man, just go look at the way people talk to each other on the internet. It's like, geez. But it's like I said, it's worth noting that whatever this agenda is that has been aggressively pushed for the last 4 to 5 years in the games industry, and not just the games industry, across multiple industries, it's clear that it comes from, I guess what I'm trying to say is, it seems like the head of the snake may have been severed. Stop politicizing every game, it's old. Well, yeah. I mean, like, look, if Santa Monica's new game, if they have a female lead, I'm not going to scream woke. Yeah, that's where I think it's like, well, hold on, you know, let's not be extreme, guys. Like, come on, you know. But you know, it's like, if Santa Monica's new game is like a black female lead, like, just automatically, I'm not saying, like, for me, I would have no problem with that, but you just know automatically there's going to be a certain level of like, okay, you know, and it's like I said, I'm not going to rehash it. I'm not going to go on, but I said before that there are too many people that I think are falling in this really dangerous trap of like, guys, listen, if there's a new game that comes out and the main character is a black female, there's nothing wrong with that. What people will likely look for, but what they will fail with the communication. Again, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. They will fail communicatively speaking. Is if this character that I'm referring to, this made up character that probably isn't even real, but it's a black female lead, and she's just got this shitty attitude, and she seems extremely unlikable, and she just comes off as like, you know, just a completely like shitty written character. Where it's like, who thought people would like this character? What people are going, where the things are going to get messy is, you're going to see people, you know, that are going to come out and point out that, like, this seems like a character that was written by a really unlikable person that is just angry that the world doesn't accept their shitty personality, so they're going to project it onto this video game that people have been looking forward to in an attempt to force them to accept it. That's going to turn into, but you're racist or you're sexist. And it's like, no. It's the first thing. It's like, no, you're racist. And that's the trap. People have to be careful not to fall for that shit. Okay? Because there are those people that I just mentioned. There are those people where they are miserable, they are unlikable, they have shitty personalities, they have a shitty view of the world, and they have infiltrated certain industries, and they're like, I want to project myself onto these characters and force people to accept it. Okay? And they do it by like nestling themselves into, with they try to cover themselves with a political blanket. Does that make sense? The extreme stance of the left politically has allowed these people to just walk right in the door. That's the problem. It's the extremism of it. And so, on the other hand, if Cory Barlog and Santa Monica Studio come out and they're like, we got this space game as a white female with a bad attitude, okay? No, that's the point. Because the point is, it has nothing to do with the color of their skin. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's a female. The only thing that matters is this character interesting? Dude, the main character could be in a freaking wheelchair for all I care. It doesn't matter. Like, none of this matters. They could be gay, black, and in a wheelchair. I don't care. Are they interesting? Is there an interesting story being told here? But that's just it, right? A lot of times you see them, you see these groups of people, they bring these things into these game worlds or into these stories that they're trying to tell. And they are so focused on, like, we need people to accept this, that they miss the bigger picture, where it's like, but did you make an interesting character? Did you make a likable character? Did you make a relatable character? Did you make relatable characters? Did you tell an interesting story? It's like, oops. And that's what I mean. That's what I mean. It's not, I'm not saying it isn't difficult. It is difficult, but it can be done. And it's been done many times. It's been done right many times. And I just wish that more people who were in the process of creating these things would see that, like, there's a better way to go about it. Like, there is a better way to go about it. Did you guys see that latest Concord trailer? Where it was, oh my God, it was like, I'm not even gonna say anything, because, dude, everybody tore that shit to shreds. But that's what I mean. I did watch it, and I'm like, dude, like, this is like the most projection I've ever seen. Like, people make the claim that the developers made this game for themselves, and I watched that trailer, I'm like, you're absolutely fucking right, they did. Because this is, like, nobody likes it. I'm not saying nobody likes it, but, like, 99% of people are looking at this like, what am I watching? What is this? Who are these characters? Like, yeah, the animation itself is fine, but it's like, it's so, like, it's just a massive projection where it's like, dude, this is too much. You're gonna have the opposite effect here. You're not gonna make people like this if this is how you're gonna handle it. But, if that's what they want to do, they're free to do it. It's just the results are gonna be what they're gonna be. Anyway, we have Dark Demon Media saying, I post the Linus video on your Twitter X page. Well, thank you for that, Dark Demon Media. I'll see if I can check that out a little bit later. Actually, you're saying I had secondhand embarrassment watching that Concord trailer, shaking my fucking head. It just makes me sad, because it's like, how can they not see that, like, dude, you are not, like, you may as well just title this video Cringe the Trailer, like, because it, like, that's what everybody's gonna do. I don't know, man. Very strange. You already know Naughty Dog's game is going to be divisive no matter what. Yeah. Yeah. I do. I don't know. Yeah. I do know. It is. It is going to be, but I don't know. Everybody, listen. everybody has to evaluate these games and these products for themselves and determine like how much does it really bother you and how do you feel about what they're showing you. And I feel like that's obvious, but maybe it's not so obvious because you do see a lot of hive mind mentality where it's like if a large group of people determine this thing is bad, then it's bad and you should feel bad for enjoying it. And it's like, well, all right. I mean, I get that exists and that's always existed, but it's gotten so extreme now where I don't know, there are different degrees, I would say. And that is, I think, why people are so tired of these conversations because these conversations usually just go one way or the other. It's either this is the dumbest, worst thing ever and I want it to die, or it's no, this is great. You don't know what you're talking about. This is actually amazing. And it's like, or maybe it's in the middle. Like maybe there are certain aspects where it's like, this is really not done that well and it's not handled that well, but there are some good qualities to it as well. And that's where like all I feel like I can really do is try to, if I'm trying to be positive about it, is like encourage people where it's like, listen, you guys have talent. You guys know what you're doing clearly, but certain ways you're approaching your storytelling and your characters and the messages and the themes you're trying to communicate, they're falling pretty flat. And you could do better. You can. And that doesn't mean you have to completely change the message you're trying to communicate. No, that's not what that means. Doesn't mean you need to convey the message that I want to hear. No, that's ridiculous. That doesn't make any sense to me. It's a matter of, is there a better way to deliver the message? Is there a more palatable way? Is there a way that is not going to immediately make people wince and cringe and feel like, what the fuck am I, like, why are you preaching to me? Or why are you trying to shove this shit down my throat? Why are you trying so hard? You see what I'm saying? And that's the part that's hard. That's the part where most people fail. And that's why the people who are held in such high regard in the world of storytelling, the people who are held in such high regard, these are people who have, I said this before, it's worth saying again, these are people who have mastered the ability to deliver a message in a way that people, even, I mean, honestly, even in a way sometimes where it's like subconsciously you're getting the message and you don't even know it. And that takes skill. That takes a lot of skill. And it's not surprising to me as there are more and more people getting involved in video games, more and more people creating these different stories. It's not surprising to me that you're also seeing a lot of very poor storytellers, a lot of people who don't know how to do that and are failing to do that. And how much skill? Well, I mean, I don't know exactly how to quantify it, but I will just say a high degree, you know. Give them some examples to help them, MBG. Well, if you look back, if you look at a lot of the things that people are tearing down these days, you think about Star Wars, you think about like Lord of the Rings, right? And I brought up Kojima earlier. Or even if you think about like, if you were to think about even like something like Naughty Dog, right? I mean, obviously you can't compare the themes in a game like The Last of Us 2 to a game like Jak and Daxter. In fact, you might even struggle to compare the themes of a game like The Last of Us Part 2 to even a game like Uncharted 4. But the thing about a lot of these different universes with rich lore, rich characters, you know, decades of worth of it, when people talk about like you're ruining it or you're destroying it or you're shoving shit into it that doesn't belong there, I firmly believe like what people are actually asking for is, can you just be better at fucking conveying the message? Because the truth is, like, what people, I think, want more than anything is a universal message. I think that's at the heart of it. Like, I think what people really want collectively is a universal message where it's not about the color of your skin, your gender, where you come from. It's not about, it's a universal fucking message. And the problem is you can't just go into you can't create a really rich universe with a diverse cast of characters and a lot of different lore without, bringing all of these different things into it. The things that are not necessarily so universal, but is what makes it unique and diverse. Again, the thread that I'm talking about is, it's like if you look at the original like Star Wars movies, right? It's an easy example, but a lot of the themes, a lot of the messages conveyed in the original Star Wars are universal. And they weren't like, George Lucas definitely had certain themes he was trying to get across, but he seemed to have the inherent understanding of like, there has to be a universal message at the heart of it. So like, we can focus a little bit on this and we can focus a little bit on that, and we can like kind of work the outer edges a little bit, but at the end of the day, like that universal message is what has to bring people in, like not just bring them into it, but keep them here and speak, and that's what's going to speak to them most, right? Like that's going to be the loudest message that's being shouted to them. To whereas if you look at Star Wars today, it's like people are screaming for that, like for the people who are in charge of this universe and creating these worlds and shit, to just please get back to that universal type of message where it like anybody and everybody can tune in or partake, and the message is like, yes, I can agree with that because it's a universal thing. It's not just for me, it's not just for them, it's for everybody. But these days, people are like, it just seems like you're trying to convey a singular message, or a very, I guess you could say, non-universal message that's just applicable to like only a certain amount of people. And in doing so, you are alienating like just mass amounts of people that are like, they just are like, what have you turned this into? Like, you've turned this into a, like, you use this as a vessel where you can now take something that has mass appeal, and the reason it has mass appeal has nothing to do with you or your message, but somebody else and the way that they decided to deliver a universal message. And you decided to hijack that and say, I'm going to take my non-universal message, my potentially even divisive message, and I'm going to shove that shit all the way in to this universe, and everybody's going to accept it. And it's like, I will just bring it back to the thing that I have always said, and I will always say, and that is, if you really believe in your message and what you have to say, and I don't mean this facetiously, I know it sounds like I do, but if you really believe it's that strong and that people are really going to gravitate towards it, then go make your own thing and put that message at the center of it. Go ahead, test it, go put it out there and see how people respond. And that's why all these people that are getting kicked out of Hollywood, that are getting kicked out of the gaming industry, right? Where these companies are waking up and realizing all you've done is lost us money and lost us fans. Once they realize this, right? And these people get kicked out, these people are going to have a hard time. They're going to have a hard time finding another job, because it's like, yeah, that's what happens when you get brainwashed into thinking that this very closed-minded message is what everybody wants to hear. And you may have been able to get in and start conveying that message because the people up top, they bought into it too because they thought it would make them money. They didn't buy into it because they gave a shit about your message. They bought into it because they thought it would make them money. This is why the people who are successful understand that a universal message, guess what? Not only does it appeal very broadly to everybody, But it's very easy to make that appealing to the higher ups as well, because a universal message that everybody can get behind is likely to make more money. So it just works. Anyway, rant over. What was I supposed to be talking about again? Dark Demon Media, you're saying play the video live. It's only about 7 minutes long. It talks about CPUs/GPUs, problems with Intel K series, and how PlayStation and Xbox matters in the PC space. Please. All right, maybe we could do it at the very end. At least, I don't know if I'll play all 7 minutes, though. Is it timestamped? Well, I mean, if it's 7 minutes, I guess it's not timestamped. I'll think about it, Dark Demon Media. Leo, you're saying, bought a high-end PC. I'm tired of being held hostage by console performance. My PS5 will now be an exclusive machine. There's nothing wrong with that, man. You know? Nothing wrong with that at all. For a lot of people, that's ideal for them. You know, PC is their main platform where they play, and, you know, they have a lot of freedom to scale things up and down, right? And to improve their PC. And for a lot of people, these consoles are, or well, maybe not the Xbox anymore, but PS5, Switch, they're mostly exclusive machines. So I hope you enjoy it, man. And, you know, Sony's embracing PC a lot more now. So again, this is why I can't fault any PlayStation player. Like, if you go to PC, I can't fault you. Like, Sony's getting ready to release God of War Ragnarok on PC. You know, like they just put out Ghost of Tsushima on PC. Like, they got multiplayer games coming to PC. It's like, yeah, I can't blame you. Fred Vance says, MBG, if we hit 500 subs next week, you have to play Animal Crossing with Mrs. MBG. Bro. Hold on. Is Mrs. MBG in here right now? There ain't no way you just thought it out yourself, bro. That sounds like there's somebody. Okay. I thought so. What are you trying to do to me here? What are you guys trying to do to me? Evil laughter. Fred's about to make bot accounts to sub. I don't know. I mean, you're talking like 500 members. I'm assuming that's what you mean by subs. That's I mean, it's tantalizing. I'm not gonna lie. But damn, dude. Animal Crossing? I don't even know how to straight, like, that's a Nintendo exclusive. I don't even know where to begin. That's too much. I don't know, man. The whole thought of that is stressing me out. I can feel my cortisol levels rising just thinking about it. Man, it's really hot in here. Why is it so freaking hot in here? What is the temperature outside? Hold on. There was a whole Animal Crossing discussion I missed. Yeah, I'm over here like with a deranged. Well, I wouldn't say it's deranged. It just sounds funny to call it deranged, but like this insane rant about storytelling and people ruining good shit. Meanwhile, the guys in the chat are like, so can we get MBG to play Animal Crossing? I don't know, man. I'll lose half my subs in 10 minutes. I don't know. Apparently Animal Crossing is a good game. But I don't know about that, dude. I don't know. Like, first, you know, earlier in the stream, somebody mentioned Sekiro. Now you're taking it up a notch. Jay Shako knows. Perfect Image is saying, I'm happy that Sony is managing Bungie. I would have sued. Yeah, well, I'm sure Sony is not allowed to sue. If Sony could, they would. But it's very clear that the way things have played out with Bungie, Sony agreed to everything. Like, Sony agreed to this outcome. This outcome was listed as a possibility, and they agreed to it. To me, that's pretty obvious. Cypherpunk says, damn, since March this year, Animal Crossing has 45 million in sales. Holy shit. Are you serious? That's actually nuts. Yeah, that was the game that everybody was playing in lockdown, right? You want a Bloodborne stream? Yeah, streaming Bloodborne would be cool, but the only reason I don't want to do that is because I'm pretty sure like at some point we're gonna get a Bloodborne remake, and I would prefer to wait for that. Is there a members only stream today? We're gonna be doing a members Astro's Playroom stream today. We're gonna probably be doing that soon. Actually, I didn't realize how far we are in the stream. We're at the 2 hour and 40-minute mark. Yeah, we'll see. I'm starting out small right now. I try to tell you guys, well, I frequently tell you guys plans I have for those plans to then not work out. So then I say I'm not going to tell you my plans just in case they don't work out, but I can't help it. I guess I'll tell you my idea. I can't promise it'll work. It worked now, which is good. But I was kind of thinking like maybe at the end of each week, I'll strive for like Fridays. We'll do like a slightly higher member goal every Friday. Or I don't know. Maybe we could do like I don't know if it would be better to like add up everything over the course of a week. Maybe we could just do like we could either do it on a Friday, like just a Friday higher goal like we did today. Today I put the goal at 50. Which I mean, there have been times where you guys have crushed like 100 or 200 members at times. So, I thought 50 is a good place to start, but just, do basically a bonus gameplay members lounge, where we'll be doing regular members lounges throughout the week. But if we can hit Muscle Gaming Fridays, there you go. But just trying to add like another layer of if we hit certain goals, and this is just, again, testing the water. And as I say that, Jerry Gamer comes in and gifts another membership. Jerry Gamer is keeping the member train going.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Good stuff, Jerry. Oh, if I'm echoing, by the way, I realize it's probably because I had this too loud. Let me try that again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for that, Jerry. You just brought us up to 77 members, so you guys went well beyond. I mean, shit. I should have put the goal to 100 because clearly you guys will do it. But no, in all seriousness, I wanted to set the goal at 50. That seemed like enough to me, That's basically double the minimum goal we go for. You guys crushed it. 77. So here's what we'll do. I'm going to close out this stream in about 5, maybe 10 minutes. So I'm going to make this the last call. Jerry Gamer dropped a membership gift, and so we are going to move over to the members lounge. It'll be a Astro gameplay stream. So last call, I guess, for anybody who wants to become a member and join us or gift any more memberships to close it out. And we'll just chat here for a little bit longer. We have Chris Brown here saying PC plus 47-inch curved Samsung OLED is in my future. Damn, dude. That sounds like a good setup. Well, I'm curious, Chris. Are you planning on, because 47-inch curved Samsung OLED, is that like a TV? Is that actually a monitor? And if so, are you going to have that on a desk, or are you planning on doing like a kind of PC living room type setup? Because I've seen people do that. It seems like it's a little bit awkward, but people do it. And Cypherpunk, you're saying last sales update was March, I mean. Okay. That's a monitor? Oh, wow. Okay, then. That's crazy. I didn't realize how big monitors are getting now. They're like the size of TVs. And Figuratively Literal says, saying, well-spoken, MBG. I also think the demeaning manner in which they treat opposing opinions contributes. Nuance is the core of good storytelling. Yeah, you're absolutely correct, Figuratively Literal. And that's a part that I left out, but it's probably just as, if not even more important, where you can't expect everything that everybody says or every message that people want to communicate to be what you want to hear. And that's just not realistic. But you're absolutely right. Like, if you want to get somebody who maybe is not, I want to say not willing to, like, if you want somebody to become willing to listen to you and to hear you out and maybe eventually agree, but at the very least, just hear you out, you can't approach it with this kind of, like you're saying, demeaning, like, I'm better than you, or, I got something to tell you, buddy, like, type of, you just can't do it like that. That's just going to turn people off and make them want nothing to do with anything you have to say. And that is something that I think has also unfortunately infected all this different storytelling, because you see that shit and it's like, oh my God. Like, you just see people rolling their eyes collectively, like, give me a break. Jerry Gamer, you're saying finally find a way to support. Thank you for all things. Well, thank you so much for that, Jerry Gamer. I appreciate it, bro. Appreciate all the support you guys show. Fred, you're saying I will upgrade my TV next year. I just dropped money on a Nakamichi Dragon. Damn. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty happy with my setup. I'm not looking to upgrade anything too soon. I think my TV is from 2020, but it's still amazing. I love my TV. I have a 28-inch 4K monitor for my PC, but I also have a 32-inch second screen, and I usually use that second screen. That's actually what I use when we play games, and it works out really well. Although I will say the image quality on the 28-inch, it's an Asus monitor. It's actually a gaming monitor. It's significantly better than, I have like an Acer 32-inch 4K. Although, I mean, it's not that the Acer looks bad. It's just it's not as good. It sounds dumb, but my TV size is too big to enjoy gaming sometimes. Really? How big is that? That's I don't know if I've ever heard that before. Jerry Gamer asking, why did my background change again? I mean, I've changed this. It's been a little while. I don't know. I just kind of like this setup. Fred, you're saying I wanted to do a massive audio upgrade and had decided to go all out. All out for movies and games. I've never used a curved TV or a curved monitor. It's like alien to me. Where are the cats? They're both sleeping underneath me, actually. Luna's passed out at the very bottom of the cat tower. Boss is actually sleeping under the desk. He has this specific spot under the desk where he likes to just chill and sleep. I don't know why. But yeah, they're both getting their beauty rest. They get their snacks, they get their treats, and then they pass out. Luna ate too much. Yeah. She's growing. Let me just double check something and make sure. I want to make sure I didn't miss. I don't think I did, but I want to make sure I didn't miss any direct donations. That does happen from time to time. Okay. We're all caught up on that too. Oh yeah, by the way, guys, I see Mrs. MBG saying close to 200 likes. Yeah, hit that like button to help the stream out. We could easily get to 200 likes. We only need 8 more. It definitely helps out, just helps with the algorithm. Lets me know you guys are enjoying the content. You got the LG C1 65-inch in 2021. No point in upgrading. Yeah, I would say it's too soon to upgrade. I mean, obviously, it's for each person to decide. If you want to upgrade every 2 or 3 years, you definitely can. But the Drumman77 says, I hit the like button. I support you all the way. I appreciate it. I don't think I would be able to adapt to a curved screen. I just don't think I could do it. Steve, you're saying you got your Astro controller pre-ordered? Nice. Shadowlink, you're saying you upgrade one time every 4 to 6 years? That sounds about right. Yeah. 4 to 6 years sounds like the sweet spot. Dan, you got your Astro controller as well. Well, that's good, man. I'm glad that it seems like everybody who wanted one was able to get one, as far as I can tell. I know that there was a lot of people, myself included, like raging the first like hour and a half or 2 hours that it went out, because it seemed like they had sold out. And I already saw, as crazy as it sounds, people scalping them. It's like, what? All right, where are we time-wise? Let me see. All right, so we've got about 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes, and I will set up the Astro stream. You hope the scalpers get stuck with them. They're asking 200 already. Yeah, that's insane, dude. The closer, you're saying you like the Concord controller? I have to admit, the Concord controller does look pretty cool. The overall design. I do like the Astro one best. I think the Astro controller is my favorite so far. It's very simple, it's very clean, but I don't know, it just feels right, you know? I'm curious to see if we get like anything for Death Stranding. Anything that releases for Death Stranding, I'm going to get it. Same thing with Wolverine. Especially after seeing Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm like super stoked for the Wolverine. Like I want to see it, you know? I know there's the whole Sweet Baby Inc. thing, but I don't know. I have faith that Insomniac will be able to do Wolverine justice and not make it wokerine. But I'm sure they're going to do, like, I want to know if they're going to do the whole package like they did for Spider-Man 2, where there's going to be a DualSense, plates, a collector's edition. Game Over Cholo. Wait, is that true? Jesus. Wow. Well, I don't know how many of you are familiar with like Sacred Symbols. I listen to them every week. But Dustin Furman, he posted, when was this? He posted this on Twitter not even 30 minutes ago. He says, last night after being induced over 24 hours prior, Holly needed an emergency C-section, and our beautiful baby son, Emil Furman, I hopefully I'm saying that name correctly, didn't make it due to a placental separation that occurred. The causes at this time aren't fully known. Our baby boy is with God in heaven now. He meant everything to us. Thank you for your support of Holly and I leading up to this. We're going to need some time to heal and won't be around for a while. We're with our friends and family. and taking things as they come. Wow. That's that is absolutely horrible. Dude, that makes me so sad. Like, really, because I've been listening to Sacred Symbols each week, and that's been like a big topic of discussion. So thoughts and prayers with Dustin, man. That's, yeah, was not expecting to. I saw Game Over Trollo just mentioned it in the chat. I was like, what? Yeah. Fuck. Yeah, that's shocking. Well, sheesh. I can't even imagine that. I'm just sorry, I'm just checking some of the replies here. That's brutal. Not much to transition to after that. Yeah. Well, yeah, shit. I don't. I'm like speechless, man. I don't even know what to say. I just, yeah. Well, that was an unexpected way to end the stream. But obviously, thoughts and prayers with Dustin and his family and his wife. Obviously, that's a rough one. All right. Well, that's absolutely true. There's really nowhere else to go from this point. So, yeah, that Dustin, yeah, he's a good dude. That's such a shame. Yeah, I went on Sacred Symbols one time. I think it was for one of their Sacred Symbols Plus episodes, and Dustin was the one who invited me on. It was during the whole blue box thing, and he had reached out to me. I think it was after the September showcase in 2021, I think. And I was like, I listen to them all the time. I'm like, yeah, man, sure, I'll come on. Um, it was cool. We had like a conversation for like an hour and a half, and I enjoyed it. So yeah, that's really fucked up. All right, guys. Well, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna end it here. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna move over to the members lounge or the Astro, uh, gameplay stream. So just to transition from that, it's tough to transition from, but you guys did it today. We set a goal of 50 members, and the promise was if we hit that 50 member mark today, we would do a members exclusive bonus Astros Playroom stream. So I'm going to get that set up. That's going to go live just a couple of minutes after this stream ends. Before I go, though, I just want to make sure to give you guys a massive thank you. I have to give this community a massive shout out. 77 members. Again, the goal was 50. You guys crushed it. You went above and beyond. Thank you so much for all the support. I'm only able to do this because you guys make it possible. You guys are the sponsors of the channel. So believe me when I say that I am thankful for that support. I am not just saying that. And I also want to thank everybody who dropped a super chat. That they help just as much. Just thank you guys for everything you do for me and the cats here in the family and the community. And I also just want to make sure to give a shout out to Devil Shooter. He does the timestamps for the the streams. So if you see him in the comments, show him some love, give him some thanks. I know he really appreciates this community and really cares. So Devil Shooter, thank you for what you do, man. So all right, guys, that does it for this stream. I'm going to catch all of my members in the Astros Playroom stream. And to everybody else, I will catch you this Sunday on the next proper stream. All right, so until then, take care, everyone.